You know what? I got a question, Max. What do you think about at this stage? IHC is what, 18 points behind Vengeance, right?
It's not happening.
I know it's not happening, but like, wouldn't they have to go for Vengeance at this point, right?
It's not happening. Stop.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Statham, while we have you here, can you tell us about your favorite mobile device that actually all the players here at PMGC are using?
I'm actually really happy you bring it up. It's this device, Jason. It's the Infinix GT20 Pro. I recommend it. Me, Jason Statham, love this device. It's fantastic.
There you go, right from the mouth of the actor himself. I'm so happy to have him on the show. We can see that Mr. Statham, I think he might have to go again and film another scene. He might be used on set or a mission. I don't know. I'm hoping we can get Max Ben to take his place here in just a few. The Hodgix, Alter Ego, I feel like they do have a legitimate chance to get back into top 11, which is why I kind of have them as one of my teams to focus here. But really, the bottom of the table is it's so rough right now, where again, one match can lose it for you, one match can almost guarantee it for you.
Yep. Yeah, and Alter Ego, I mean, they're in that stage where, yeah, it's hard because a chicken dinner obviously would be amazing, but they're in that place too where it's like just putting points on the board is a necessity. So I'm not going to be ashamed to see Alter Ego play it a little conservative here, Max. What do you think? I know that you picked them.
I mean, looking back on some of their games, we had one around earlier where they were just completely scared of fighting i8 in the first place. I think that here they're doing something similar to IHG, which is we just want to survive to the late game and hope that it's enough to push us in top 11, which for Alter Ego, that might be enough. But again, we mentioned it many times. Those eliminations are really going to count towards the end of the day. So Alter Ego, sure, placement points good, but they need to take fights eventually. Pull like a note out of the book of Furia. You need to start sweeping the edge in those kind of situations. They haven't done it yet, but 3 matches down, they might start to go for some big, desperate plays to hopefully push themselves in the survival stage.
Oh, I know we did have Seven give us the information that Team Queso and Alter Ego are really feeling like their confidence is at an all-time low going into these matches, which I can kind of understand. I mean, for Alter Ego as well in particular, the fact is they got into this from PMGC points. They were horribly ranked in their finals. They were insanely low ranked at 15th place. I think our lowest placing team to get into the group stage here. They have a lot of work cut out for them. And honestly, they're one of the biggest teams in Southeast Asia. And to not make it to even the survival stage here would be a massive letdown for not only them, but for their fans. And we've already seen the impact on Rosemary, taking himself out yesterday in match 5, feeling like he's just not playing well enough to deserve to be on the roster, the starting roster right now.
Oh, yeah, their mental game's is at an all-time low. I mean, honestly, the way I'm looking at it with how they've been playing, they need like a huge circle gift, I think, if we're going to see them make it at this point, unless they show me something different. Because I mean, hearing it from their mouth, just saying that, you know what, that they're not feeling it going into this is a big statement to make. All I know is that I would never admit that. You know, I'd be like, hey, we're ready to go, let's make it happen. You got to cheer your squad up and just kind of reset here, because they are one of the best teams in the world. You can't get in your head at this time in the championship round. So for me, when I hear that, I count them out already. As crazy as it sounds, that's just the way it is.
Man, that's rough. That's really rough indeed. And obviously still 3 matches to go. We'll see and check back in with that later on. But what about FaZe Clan? Max, you had them as one of your teams to focus. I kind of wanted you to go into why.
How they were playing in SEA was actually quite interesting. They were not one of the most fragging teams in the lobby. They were not just like this big standout squad. They were just consistent. And for me, consistency is pretty important going into a PMGC. A 4-day tournament, consistency is quite relevant. And I thought that would be enough for them to push them at least in survival stage, maybe even competing for top 3. They were kind of an underdog team for me, Jason, in particular. And I thought that they could be a bit of a surprise, but had a little bit of a slow start, so that did unfortunately hurt them for the overall rankings towards the end.
Okay, well, another team here on your screen, IWNRX, need to have a step up here. I mean, again, it's Mir and Sejong to be towards the top of the table for almost every single day, that to go into the last day and not be able to just have that one good game you need. The catch back up could be unfortunate for them, but I believe it is time here, gentlemen, to head into our final Erangel of the group. John Allen and Blank, let us know your thoughts here about IWNRX and how they can look to improve in these final matches.
I think they need to find something. They need to fix it, call the mechanic, get them locked in on the vehicles and getting on in as fast as they can, because no game is expendable here. They need to be fast, they need to be furious, and that's right, I have just rattled off 3 Jason Statham references. Fantastic to have him on the desk. Really appreciate him stopping by and showing his appreciation for PUBG Mobile.
I might also do some jokes and then explain the joke that I've made.
Yeah, that's right. Good.
Being there at work.
Stop being a crank.
Sorry, bro. I apologize. That's actually a Jason Statham move, if you guys didn't know. That's why it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for IWX, not a real one. For them, I think that the difficulty they're running into, they seem scared in a lot of their engagements when they're rolling through. I don't really know how you fix that, honestly, because it's a mentality problem. That's just got to be something that where they'll have that switch happen during the games of a case of, guys, we have to stop worrying about getting into these fights. I mean, they're still doing fun stuff. I mean, the road spikes over towards ISIA, that was incredible. Loved that. And it worked too, which is the best part. Usually those type of players just completely fall flat, but we got one of the vehicles down, that's for sure. But for IWX, definitely need a little bit more of that juice coming through from this team, because they are known to be quite an aggressive squad. But what we're seeing here is a lot more safe plays. I'd like to see something different come off the back of that here.
Looking for something special on the Southwest Circle. Leaning on the horn here for TJB. Letting it be known they're here to play. Fantastic stuff. Top of the tables right now. 10 points in the lead. The Southwest Circle means that from Severny, they will have to rotate quite far from all the way up that north side of the map. It's a non-zero possibility that we end up on Military Island, but I'm giving it a 10 to 15% likelihood of going on down towards the Military Island, which means we're much more likely to end up in those Gatka fields around that quarry area.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility to head back down that way. So I think teams need to be aware of that happening, as we have had some funky circles in the past too. So that's something teams will have to make sure that they're aware of going into the future of this game. I think that if I'm looking at the circle right now, though, ASIA do have a big benefit for the fact that they do start a military base and the circle cuts so much of that island in. There's no one else there. They have a ton of time to loot before they think to make their approach out. We do have a interview coming through from the coach from ASIA, and he's going to go over some of the little different things that have been going through that team's mind to keep them set up towards that top side with 7.
Welcome back to a quick interview with the 7WG, and I'm actually joined by the coach from ASIA, Trenda. Trenda, you guys were able to get a chicken dinner. You're currently in the top 3. We have 3 matches left. What is the team feeling like? What are you guys going to be working on the next 3 matches to make sure you maintain yourself within the top 3?
It's a do or die situation for us. Yeah, the team is confident. It's now or never situation, you can say. Yeah, the team is pretty confident. They, like, whenever I ask, are you guys taking any pressure or something like that, they say no, we will go more aggressive. This time, more aggressive. So yeah, we have 3 more maps. So right now, we are on the 3rd spot. Inshallah, we will do better.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for your time. Back to you guys.
Fantastic stuff coming on through. I mean, the fact that you're not letting that pressure get to you, that is so important. The mental game is one of the biggest battlegrounds in PUBG Mobile, in the competitive scene, is making sure that you can keep your head level when all those around you are losing theirs. And that is how winning is done.
Well, for ASIA, I always enjoy watching this. This is not how you climb, but in PUBG Mobile, it's definitely a way that it works to get it up on high and go for some scouting positions. Also a really nice spot to scout from, just purely because this is one of the positions where you don't have a lot of sight lines looking out this way. You can't stay up here forever, but it's a great spot to know when teams are coming, especially from the roadside. But going back to ASIA, it's a very interesting one, the way the coach talks about the team and their confidence, because I think that ASIA was one of the few teams that came into Group Red with the best mentality of, we want to get 70-80 points today. That's our goal. And that was on day 1. 70 to 80 points on a day is a ridiculous feat to grab, but like I said, they're shooting for the stars, and if they fall short of the stars, it doesn't matter because they've still rocketed into outer space, which is what they've been able to do during Group Red. 153 points. It's looking very, very nice for ASIA, and the fact they're able to keep that mentality up and take some of these more aggressive plays, which have sat them up towards the top side of the lobby, allowed them to win from spots like southern side of Everest inside the fields. Yeah, really, really nicely done. And I can only hope it continues because this is a team that has really impressed me and some of the greatest talent coming out from Pakistan.
Great stuff, great performances coming on through, and it is just kind of unfortunate that they're facing off against TJB, who have had the most chicken dinners of any team ever in group stages at these international tournaments since we've had this format. And they have just absolutely come up blasting, which is a little bit unfortunate. It means those chicken dinners haven't been going elsewhere. Otherwise, things may have been a little bit different. If day one TJB had returned, this would be a very different story right now, and things could be a whole lot more chaotic, which I know it's strange to even consider that to be a possibility. Getso Roy, they have continued to keep up that sort of middle of the pack pace, getting into these late games, moving quite efficiently and effectively, but not really holding up in those fights on the other end of it. However, they are still profiting and should likely be in the survival stage, but it's definitely possible that they could slip down as well.
Yeah, if it gets to Roy, they're a team that was just about holding on, right, keeping the five-finger grip on the game so far, but they are now in a little bit of a dangerous scenario in 10th place with Incilio rocking up 118 points, Tiamba 121, and FaZe for the first time in a long time been able to pick up that 7th place. And not too far behind Falcons at the moment. And we had a nice interview there with Senator. Still feels like that mindset is good for them. I actually really appreciate the comment of the are you expecting hot drops? It's like, yeah, but you got to look on the bright side. As if someone hot drops us, that's plus 4 points, right? Surely. So I like that. But again, yeah, for Falcons, it was very obvious that they were very much working on their rotates coming through. Ooh, this is big actually. Coming through those first 3 days, but I like that now they're looking further towards their team fights because that is certainly a position where they are lacking, and we saw that from the very first match of the day there on Sandhawk, where instead of going for the full 4-man push up towards FaZe, they lose that fight out, and that might have been the opening that FaZe needed to get towards this position now.
It's crazy. There were 2 teams waiting for this TJB rotate, right? That's both on either side of it, ready to slice straight on through that approach, and TJB on 2 going to divert into the crates here. It's interesting decision to take on this path. I mean, you're using that cover from the west, from the east side, and trying to get around Everest, I suppose, and send all the way out on that west side of Gatka Fields. Maybe a little bit of a change of plans after they lost 2 of their players, but let's see if they can adapt into this one. Flower, Triple S, both fairly solid, well, very solid players for the roster, so not out of it just yet. We'll see how much further they can go. But this is good news for teams looking to take that top spot from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you look over towards some of our squads who are chasing, Tiamba's never quite been able to get, Tongjibao's never been quite able to get fully ahead of the squads in 2nd and 3rd place. They have definitely made a good breakout for it, but it's not happened just yet. Another circle that benefits ASIA, they can just calmly chill down towards the southeast side. No one's going to want to go towards Military Island because they know that no one is heading out there in the first place. They know the circle's likely not going to end up towards the southeast side. Good shots from IWNRX as well with that scouting position up on high, alerting their teammates to the squad that is coming in fairly quickly, and Zedwolf will once again take up position on that high ground.
He's up on that radar dish and he scanned the galaxy for a point. Fantastic news. And yeah, he's just going to hippity-hoppity his way back up the pole and see if he can keep that presence. I feel like it's going to get very, very dangerous quite quickly, though, and I don't imagine he's going to be able to stay up there for more than maybe a minute at best without going down if he stays too boldly faced on that position. The good news is there's a lot of trees that's around it, so in general, the sight lines can be covered off, but it's super exposed. That's not going to stop him, though. Shots over to Tixie, and Virtus.pro lose one of their approach.
Yeah, I mean, Virtus.pro, 15th place. They are not massively far away from breaking in to the survival stage. And again, not a load of our teams down towards the bottom 5 aren't. I mean, IHG's even been able to get up towards 80 points now. It's wild how close this is for those bottom 5. I think this is our most competitive lobby, and probably will be even going into group green. We had group yellow, which was a group of death, just because it had some horribly strong teams over in there, mixed in with some of maybe our weaker squads, but still very strong. For group red, on the other hand, I think this is way more evenly matched, to the point where I think you wouldn't be unhappy to see any team drop out of survival stage and one of these teams from the bottom 5 jump up. I don't think it would feel like anyone was stealing away a spot towards the survival stage, because they all sort of deserve to be there in their own rights.
It'll be interesting to see how many teams from each group make it through the survival stage as well, Blank, and that's what I'll be looking out for, to see if, because of how closely fought it is, we're going to see some very strong teams from the top of Group Red and even all the way down through the middle of it have a really good go at those survival stages, see if they can get all the way through it as well. Maybe, and it kind of feels this way, right, where looking at those survival stages, you're taking 9 of our very best teams out of there, right, the top 3 from each group, and you're giving the middle of the pack a little bit more of an opportunity to shine. I think you're considering the fact that you're going to see one of TJP, IWNRX, Na'Vi, ASI8, all of these teams potentially lose that spot and have to go over to those survival stages, have some incredibly impactful games. A big shift over on the circle sends it to Ferry Pier, and ASI8 currently not leaving from the military island, with Na'Vi behind them, actually.
Yeah, Na'Vi was able to make a cool rotate over towards the eastern bridge and move down. And I think they sort of expected ASI8 to just be quite calmly chilling over on this side. They already find Noki, because they have been brazen on their approach here. I didn't expect anyone to come down here. I didn't expect anyone to push out into military either. But Na'Vi with a very interesting rotation, looking to take up that position from ASI8. I love this. I really do love this. And it's very indicative of a team currently in 4th place. And they're taking out their direct opposition as well in ASI8, who are currently in 3rd place. So this is massive in terms of the standings.
I mean, they were talking about Sandhawk potentially being a calculated approach to the team in boot camp, moving on in, and I feel like this may be the same sort of play. You're right, it is so pivotal that it's against ASI8, and you know 100% of the time that ASI8 are going to be on this military island. So you push in behind them, you're moving on through as Na'Vi. This has been a great opportunity for them. They're playing as 3 on ASI8, but one of them's trapped down the cliff face. UZM split off. Falak is completely out in nowhere. And so whilst they are as 3, they're basically 3 solos right now.
It's painful. I mean, from starting out inside this lobby to being a case of, we have such an amazing amount of space to play around with. It's a good counter from UZM, but now this res has to come through incredibly quickly. We're halfway through into stage 4 coming in, where it will be unresable to pick up your teammates. So Na'Vi, yeah, and he should do as well. Puncher goes out. This is a great comeback coming through from UZM.
You might take one of us, but the rest, a little bit hardier. Now they're aware of your presence. They've set up for it. And with the blue zone at the back, Na'Vi are going to be eating the damage first. Puncher, very unlikely to get rezzed here. The spray down for Flip, not going to quite connect there. Pushes back. And remember, there is still IQ underneath them on this cliff face. Lemon gets rezzed. UZM repositions. The 2 players from ASIA on the northern side of things will move around this coastland. They can get to the bridge and play in this zone as well, Blank. But it looks like they want to stay out and guard Na'Vi.
Yeah, Na'Vi 6 goes down to IQ. Is a good comeback coming through on the side of ASI8, and again, it's so important on the standings with ASI8 and Na'Vi both battling out for that 3rd place position. So any damage ASI8 can get done here is really pivotal. Essentially for Na'Vi, they need to get ahead of the problem here, and the best thing that they can hope to do, because they should understand that this is ASI8 that they're going up against, is that they should just hope to guard them out. That's the best thing they can do, even if it costs them their lives. What it creates is a situation where they can get a reset on the game, Out goes the bow. Good shots right now from Lemon, looking to finish things off for them.
Maybe just a little step too far there to go for an open rotate. They thought that Na'Vi were going to be across the bridge already, but a back step there, and Lemon drops out while the zone doesn't fully close. They've got 20 more seconds to try and find this shot, try and find this shutdown, and he's tagging the damage out into the water for Uzum. He is going to eat the final bullet there, and Lemon leaves a bitter taste in their mouths. I mean, there was some retribution, but Na'Vi exact their toll as well.
Yeah, unreal play, actually, from Na'Vi. Again, they just give up on their teammates because I think that's totally off the back of an understanding of where ASIA are dropping. There should be 3 elims going through to them as well off the back of that. But well done to Na'Vi. I think that is a tough choice to make in the moment, but it is the right decision overall for their game.
It felt like they really had that all under control, but it kind of went pear-shaped, though, right towards the end of it. Disengaging us too, though. I mean, you're right, that is kind of the best of a bad situation. Tiamba looking to try and get rid of Tunch, but he won't go down that easy. They're launching nades on the inside, but he's already managed to exfiltrate on the building and do a lot of damage. Keep that hold on going. It's interesting, though, because ASIA and Na'Vi both have gone down. This is IWNRX. This is Falcons, both with a big opportunity in big positions as well on this circle blank to make a lot of ground up and get back into such that tight grouping of teams towards the third place bubble.
Yeah, and again, this is the aggression that I wanted to see from IWNRX in this position. They've been handed a game here, which drops over towards where they start their matches for IWNRX. So I want to see a little bit more. Vengeance has clear overview towards Na'Vi's push across. ASIA actually able to get their second player back up again, so 3 elims not going over towards Na'Vi as they left that spot earlier on. So well played to them. And as to, there's a good chance they can get further into this game.
If they can get up into the ridge line that stretches that tree-covered ground, but at the moment, IWNRX really not letting anyone else in because this east side is popping off with Incilio taking heavy casualties, and FaZe continue to put pressure on the lobby overall. Remember their last game, that was pretty bombastic. We'll see if they can have a repeat performance. They've managed to get 4 eliminations on side already. The Falcons unlikely to stretch out for a big third party to their location, and likely the only team to counterpoint the IWNRX spot, but Flip close by, playing secret agent Cody Banks right now. Yamek doesn't spot it. Flip stays alive a moment longer.
Yeah, that's the step up, move forward. And this is a dangerous run that he's making, but it's the only play that he can make in this moment. Get himself further in. No more first aid kits either. I think he's working with bandies as well as some stims.
Have they?
They must have seen this, surely.
Oh, yeah, they definitely have. They're going to know something's up. Did he just take shots? Not entirely
he went
sure.
down. He went down.
He's down. He's down. He's down. Crisis averted. Vengeance handle it. Na'Vi are out, and that is a pretty big team to fall at this stage with only 2 elims. They don't make it across the crossing.
They have to essentially now hope that ASIA go down early in the next couple of teams, so they don't really get too many more points off the back of them. But yeah, this could have been a really good game for ASIA, and it is scarpered by Na'Vi. Doesn't gain either teams too many points in the future, but it does just get a reset in. And for Na'Vi, considering where they were playing at the beginning of this game, to be honest, I don't think that they had that big of a chance into this circle anyway. So taking your competition out, it's a bold move. There might have been a world where they were able to get in towards one of these positions on the eastern side of the lobby, but who knows? We'll never know. This game would have to be replayed.
SIA actually spotting players from Vengeance, picking up some points there on the south side, trimming the overextensions away and maybe looking for more to the high ground. That's IQ landing another knock. This guy is on the warpath today, and I mean, you can tell why with the points tables as close as they are. Unlikely to see this flex back out from Vengeance. I think that might be Lily just going down, and IQ continues to surge out and put pressure onto Vengeance with 2 of their players remaining. He gets the flush going.
IQ are actually going crazy right now. ASIA, you can never count them out until they're done. Actually finding 2 extra eliminations as well. Here's IHC coming against Tongji About. Currently down to 2 players. Nice nades over the top, keeping them at bay, keeping them cornered inside of the shack. And IHC on 4 elims on the game.
TJB looked to stop the first approach. Demo does go down. I thought it might have been to a team nade, but it was a step out spray down. IHC moving up to the shack against 2. One of them on a sliver of HP as well. But finally, just down to 1. It's just Flower to contend with. They got cut out earlier, and IHC are fumbling this approach. Flower low, but they're out of there completely. The third-party angle. No, wait, Godless is still there. Okay, now he's down. But so's Flower. What just happened?
Oh, dear me. I mean, to be honest with Godless, you gotta admit, in that moment, the fact that he's able to jump up just as a vehicle explodes and gets the DBS shot through the window is somewhat remarkable. So at least they're able to finish off Tongji About in that moment. Nice nade comes through from Flower as well through the window. Didn't even prime it, just allowed that one to cook on through, and then it explodes at the worst timing there for the boys over on IHC, who go out with 6 eliminations.
Blank, the point scoring capability of the top 4 is severely diminished now. ASI8 finally going down. They get 5 eliminations. It's a decent result given what situation they were in. Getting those 5 elims, as Jason was saying back on the desk, that's Kaplan, not Statham. It could be enough to see you safe, but towards those top 3, it's probably going to need a little bit more juice. Enigma Galaxy on that south side with 2. If they can survive for longer, they may be able to secure that second place. Zedwolf finally having to hop down there. But IWNRX, 4 players alive, looking fairly solid in their spot. Falcons, 4 players alive, fairly solid in their spot. FaZe, 4 players alive on this northeast side. We know they're liking to frag out today. Can these pushes towards these top pack come on through on this game as well?
I mean, FaZe are just flying through. They have done this multiple times, though, in the past in terms of getting into tournaments off the back of their final days. Yeah, I mean, for FaZe, 4 eliminations. Like you said, point scoring potential of our top 3 severely limited. ASI8 were able to get 5 eliminations. So, honestly, big thumbs up to them for the fact they were able to make that happen, despite the shaky start that they had, which sits them a little bit further ahead of Na'Vi. IWNRX, though, is the team that I am focusing over towards. They have had a good game so far. 8 teams remaining, 22 players. This is where they need to make their breakout. This is where they need to clear that gap between them and Na'Vi and ASI8, and potentially even Enigma Galaxy on the 2 players they have.
Enigma Galaxy, they have Team Queso to their south side, but IWNRX are making that approach for Team Queso a little bit rough here. Getso Roy, I mean, trying to rotate into the late game here again, but they don't have too much to work with. Only the 1 player, and already Zedwolf knows where you are. A nade, not going to target Car directly, but spots him as he peeks his head up over the parapet, and Zedwolf takes it clean off. That's Getso Roy down.
Yeah, good stuff. Very, very good stuff there. We'll keep IWNRX nice and safe over towards that side of the map. FaZe, though, up against the Falcons. Both teams, I honestly don't think anyone would have expected both these teams to be so closely in contest on the leaderboards, but FaZe is here to play now. Big. Team Queso, though, nice shots over towards Enigma Galaxy, especially for Team Queso now on the chase above Vengeance, who are on 100 points. Team Queso currently on 99.
Remember, of course, those placement points are going to start to rack up for Team Queso, which means that they're likely already over that mark, but they want to be more than that. They want to be further ahead. Beat out Getso Roy on 104 plus whatever placements they got. Maybe try to catch up towards Incilio if they go down soon, because they're on the back of the queue on the east side and they have just fallen. So Team Queso, again, with an opportunity up into that 11th place now. Vengeance slipped down.
Vengeance now in 12th place. Not a good place to be for them. And Team Queso, 4th match of the day. A bit of confidence maybe regained here for them. Just so needed. And we saw them earlier. They looked pretty downtrodden over on the stage. FaZe attempting to get these nades over into the shack, but the smoke cover allowing them to keep the eyes off the ledges and make those angles to line up for FaZe a bit harder. Yes, you can try and throw a bunch of nades in over that way and hope one fits in, but a lot of times in these end circles, it's a good thing to throw those smokes because teams do not want to waste nades at this point in the game. Falcons getting will feel so incredibly bad because this is the game that they have been waiting for so long now. And East already falling right off the bat, John. Ooh, it's not a good feeling for them.
I mean, it's so unfortunate because they're kind of in the saddle of this ridgeline as well, between FaZe and IWNRX. The two teams around them on the tables as well. It is so devastating, either side on the tables, either side on the ridgeline, and Falcons need to hold off this push. FaZe try and go on in, but it's being cut down here. East has been flushed away, but they still have 3, and only Venturas now sits on their flank. This is a big pickup on the position for the Falcons. FaZe may have just been able to lose out here.
Yeah, FaZe down to 1 player in quite fast fashion. So for FaZe, who are looking to put about back-to-back that Hot Jukes was talking about earlier, feels like it might be off the cards. Good shots from Venturas, though, finds another from Falcons, but Top is quick to readdress that scenario, but not likely anyone else from his team is going to stay up. So now down to just Top remaining as he tries to slither on through inside this valley. Team Queso, Melodious, can't quite go back to pick up his teammate Holgo, but does find some great shots over towards Furia, who are trying to enter from this eastern side, but the Fury is more over towards the side of Team Queso as they start to light the fire underneath this lobby.
Team Queso looking for the last player of Furia, who's moving out in the open, sitting down, trying to go for these spray challenges, but it is just a last-ditch attempt. Can they get the res? It looks like they should be able to. IWNRX, 4 players alive. A 3rd place guaranteed for Falcons. I think they got 7 eliminations on this game. A big game for IWNRX as well. They've been waiting for this all throughout. FaZe, the team that fell by the Wade side on this match, they still got a decent result, but the teams ahead of them will accelerate away. The top pack also slowed down, caught up in the fighting on the south side, and it has not been a successful story for them this match. And it is, again, a front page scramble for 3 spots. There's 7 contenders.
It's more than likely, like Jason said, going to come down to the final match of this tournament. As time and time again, we get those sprint outs in the front line. That should be Falcon. Whoa!
How did
what?
that not catch him?
Okay, Falcon. I mean, Top just survives that one.
Just built different.
Nade protection. Yeah. Wild.
Just built different then. Either way, still in a pretty dire scenario, all things considered, with IWNRX pushing up to the ridgeline. Team Queso wanting to secure themselves further and further up these tables, trying to do the Americas proud. As IWNRX moving on over, trying to stop that story. Turkey are behind them too. All 4 of their players, they've got 14 smokes to play with. That is a lot of utility on side for IWNRX.
Yeah, they're ready to take this game home, and they really do want to. Falcons, like I said, 7 elims on the match. Top doing a good job here. They should know of this location from Top, considering they got the nades.
Definitely do. 2 nades in the pocket.
Ooh, they are lining up towards his left-hand side. That's unfortunate on the timing at which he readdresses the approach on the buggy and maybe just trying to bait something out. Good shots to start off things with. A Melodious almost goes down, but this might be the trigger pulled now for IWNRX as they hear that breakout. The damage has been done, but they don't push the issue.
I mean, Team Queso are on the back foot here, right? The circle closest to the center, and IWNRX know they have these angles under control. They have a lot of smokes to play with. They're redistributing all of their ammunition. They're playing this one on the smart game, not the aggressive style that we have seen from some of our teams so far. With 9 eliminations, with 4 more, they could add up to 13 eliminations. A 23-point game would, I believe, see them towards the top spots here. Blank, this is such a crucial moment, not only for IWNRX, but for Team Queso as well. The best case scenario for making the tables as interesting as possible, in my mind, is Team Queso get 3 of these elims and then lose to a full 4 elim from IWNRX. That would shake things up the most.
Indeed. Now, Team Queso, how do they want to play this now? Because we are in stage 9 now. IWNRX playing off the back of this ridge side. They would like the players from Team Queso to rotate into them. They have good control a little bit further over into the middle side of this lobby, but it is a full 4v4. But with Zed Wolf picking up the first elimination onto Melosa, that's their big off angle, and IWNRX look like they're taking this one home already, John.
Melodious goes down, and need to follow it up from Kane. No damage to be seen in response. Two players at the back line, and they're already eating damage from the shrapnel. Frozen launching that Molotov forward. Zed Wolf as well, cooking one up, making these rotate so hard. Papi Patro and Cole go trying to make the spray down, and a bold push out on the buggy. Two of them almost go down as just Cole go down left standing. The last player in the mix for Team Queso, and Frozen rolls forwards, but it's the buggy to connect first. And that is how you shut down a game. A 13-point chicken dinner in the closing moments for IWNRX. We're going right down to the wire again.
And look, the big thing is IWNRX get themselves a chicken dinner, the first one of the tournament. This is the changing point. 2 more matches to go, but they picked up that chicken dinner, and maybe now's the time for IWNRX to get themselves back up into the top 3. No more sad faces, only smiles, because they can only go up from here.
They done it!
Yes!
It's
possible!
Let's go! Oh, man, IWNRX. Clutch badge has been earned, Max.
Just a chicken dinner. Jason Statham would be proud. I am proud.
Dude,
oh, damn.
everyone's
He's
proud. Look at Team
here.
Kessel. Not happy, dude. Not happy at all. And rightfully so, man. This was an absolute banger away to end Aaron Gale, right? I mean, we got 2 Miramars coming up. Team Kessel are on the cusp. IWNRX just made things that much more difficult for squads trying to make it to the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, again, the point sponge at the top is even worse now that we saw IWNRX finally get himself a chicken dinner. But Team Queso, this would have been the big game here, possibly, Jukes. It was so well played too against Furia. There was Incilio, there was FaZe over to the eastern side, even Nigma Galaxy. And they knew that to really get some information while not taking too big a risk in this game, playing that ridge south of Longwood was the big play to make. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with IWNRX that sure are low on ammo, but they have the best weapon in the game, which is a buggy, you're going to be in a world of hurt. But Z-Wolf, these are crazy What? 9 elims, 1.5k damage in one game.
Yo, I was talking to you at the top of the show, and I was like, can you imagine a world where Z-Wolf doesn't make it into the grand finals with how he played so far? And he said, he must have heard something, you know, his ears were twitching and was like, this is not going to happen under my
He's talking smack.
That's right, dude. 9 eliminations, dude. Z-Wolf on fire in the final moments. This is literally a movie.
I mean, if it starts back at the beginning of the match. Luckily, the spectators caught it for us, the observers. We saw Z-Wolf go up the tower with some sweet little hops, and he stayed on top of that tower, and I believe he got 4 eliminations from that tower. Then eventually he did have to come down from this one, and then he picks up another 5 eliminations on top of that. Like, Z-Wolf almost single-handedly carrying his team through to the grand finals here. A phenomenal performance. The guy who's the MVP after day 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you could do it again today. I mean, can you imagine if you're a player, okay, you're just going through Longwood, you're rotating, you're playing your typical PMGC lobby, and you start getting shot from somewhere, and you're looking at the tree like, where the hell, where am I getting shot from? And you're getting smitten down by one of the gods up in the sky, and he's just spraying you down with his M4s. Like, well, you have no idea he's up there. And actually, the trees in Longwood really give you so much cover while you're up there. It's not just like tree chunks. You have the actual leaves, the foliage up there that helps him so much stay hidden while still gathering information, because no one in their right mind would go check in the trees. But he's up there.
Well,
he's hidden.
It makes sense, dude. I mean, come on. You see Z-Wolf doing his best Sanji impression, right? Just jumping all the way to the top to that tower.
Skywalking.
Exactly. And then who's going to expect a wolf in the sky, right? I mean, look at this guy. I mean, 9 eliminations, 1,500 damage, but even more impressive, 77 damage taken, right? This guy was destroying this lobby.
I think Z-Wolf, I think it was actually Jason Statham playing Z-Wolf, and he was researching his new movie called The Tree Walker. It's kind of a sequel to The Beekeeper. I don't know, man, how you kind of pull that play off, especially in PMGC, but hey, it might have pushed IWNRX up into our top 3. Obviously, Team K is going to be a little bit upset considering they were outside top 11. But we have to talk about 2 other teams here, gentlemen. I8 and Na'Vi over in military. Navi like feinting that they were going to go through the eastern bridge to go rotate in towards one of these zones. Instead, they go through the western bridge, or the western side, I should say, and they clash against I8, except Navi are going to be the first ones to go out, and I8 still get some points. This is rough times for those teams. We're just trying to hold on to top 3.
Yeah, so trying to hold on to top 3 for those two squads, and it didn't quite go the way they wanted. I mean, good for IA, I think it's fair to say, Jason. They still get 5 points, so they're still able to remain around in a position that's somewhat able to compete for top 3, but still, the whole clash is just unnecessary. We did talk about it, right? And I think, Jason, you especially highlighted that Na'Vi will go to the east and then came back to the western bridge. Actually, going to the eastern bridge, committing to that, just like 4MB would do back in CSA, it is not a bad idea. I think actually in this game that would give them an easy access to Longwood, so maybe Na'Vi should have maybe thought of that and actually committed to that play a little bit earlier.
Second thoughts, dude. Second thoughts. Literally before going into this match, my teams to watch were Na'Vi, IWNRX, and Falcons, because these are all 3 teams that needed to break into the top 3, and IWNRX and Falcons needed to win this game. IWNRX did. Falcons put up some big points, and Na'Vi were right there. And that's the hard part, was when you start playing towards the leaderboards and you're so close into breaking into that breakthrough point, where I think it was Na'Vi only had what, 5 points? Yeah, only 5 points away from ASI8. At that point, you can get in your own head. You could be like, ooh, all we need is 5. We just need to put something on the board. Ooh, going down this other bridge is too risky. Let's just stay here, and it punished them. And that's a problem. Again, and especially it being in the last Air Gale, you're going into Miramar now, a whole new map with only 2 left to go. And the last game's going to be crazy. It's going to be that much more difficult for Na'Vi for sure.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be so complicated at the end, by the way. Again, GGZ Wolf, were we surprised as MVP? No. It's pretty much what you expect with these kind of stats. Crazy, crazy numbers. But I do want to highlight one team here that has been really silent, and their spot in the survival stage might not be assured anymore, and that's going to be Getzo Roy. They've had a bad day, to put it simply. They've had a really, really bad day, and currently they've been slipping. I mean, they we'll see on the leaderboards how far they are, but they could be overtaken. But here we go, leaderboards, and IWNRX still not back up there. They're tied.
No, yeah, exactly, tied. But because they have only 1 chicken dinner, I has 2. They're not able to surpass it. If we ended right now, that would have been the worst case for IWNRX. But to still see, like, I think FaZe, okay, 7th and down, we're probably calling out, unless we see a big win out of one of those teams. But Falcons, Na'Vi, IWNRX, still in the running here for top 3, whereas TJB, I mean, as long as they just don't go out 16th place in the next 2 matches, I think they're going to be through.
Even then, I think they're through.
They're fine. TJB's good.
Yeah, but IWNRX, Jukes, they need to do it again. We need another one. If you want to make sure you can at least win that tiebreaker, we need a 2nd win on the Miramar, so it needs to go down at some point.
Dude, you got all of Pakistan right now biting their nails. This is so close, dude. I mean, it's coming down to the last match here. I mean, even Enigma Galaxy aren't even feeling too happy with this one. Anything could happen here. Looking at the second page, though, oh my goodness. Getzo Roy on that cusp now. Furia are still in the mix. They need a big game here. After watching IHC go out early, bang, bang, bang. That's the nail in the coffin. These guys are going home.
I'm so surprised by Getzo Roy. They were in 8th position and they just kept slipping the entire day. They're 5 points ahead of Vengeance. Also, Vengeance slipped out. What the hell's happening over here, man?
Well, so Team Queso, they were 13th place and they moved up to 10th after that last match, which is why I was kind of surprised why they were so upset or didn't look happy about that last game. Obviously, they wanted to win, but they still were able to jump up massively in the leaderboards.
Yeah, it was a really good game for them. But I think that the way they were upset, Jason, is because it's not enough points to make them comfortable going in the last 2 games. They could very easily fall out of this.
Would 4 more points make them that more comfortable?
Yes.
I think it would.
Literally,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you got Vengeance with 100. I mean, it's the games that you feel like you could have won, right, Max? Like Team Kessel, I think it was so close that they're biting their nails because they know how crazy the last 2 matches of a group stage are. So the fact that they've seen plenty of times where teams don't make it because of one, game, 1 point. I mean, they should definitely feel uncomfortable for sure.
And it's not just 4 extra points, Jason. Sure, they get the placement point from going from 2nd to Chicken Dinner team, but you also get possibly those eliminations on IWNRX, and that also pushes them higher. So 8 points possibly in that match would have definitely made them a lot more comfortable in the conversation. And it's good to get it now because going in those Miramars, you're going to have so much uncertainty going in those matches. I mean, hot drops, Jukes, we know they're always a part of the conversation. Are we going to see it happen towards those top teams to make it to grand finals? Or are we going to see it for the bottom teams to just make it to survival stage? Yeah, they might be a target team here for some of the bottom squads that need to make a final dash into top 11.
Well, let's talk about it, right? Let's theory craft a little bit, Max, right? Because I mean, we're the last two matches of the day. Hot drops become a necessity, and the last match, again, I can't repeat enough of just how crazy it's going to be. You need those points right here, right now. So, in your opinion, looking at the leaderboards, which teams do you think need a hot drop who? And then I'll go after.
I mean, I'm not really going to focus too much on the grand final teams right now because I think that might happen in the last game, not this early. You don't want to give your game plan away, but really at the bottom squads, I think you're looking at Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro have to do something here because Virtus Pro are currently, what is that? They're going to be going to be 17 points away, right? I think from their spot. So they're around that point. I'm not good at math. But they are technically in reach, right? But they need to also beat the competition above them because otherwise that's a moving goalpost and it makes your entire day for these last two matches way harder. So Virtus Pro, for me, even IHG to an extent, that is their final opportunity to make it to the survival stage, is to hot drop, eliminate a team, and get some big point games on the board.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, Virtus Pro and IHC need to hot drop, get Roy, or even Vengeance, right? One of those two teams, I would prefer probably get Roy because right now 145 points, you need to destroy the cutoff team. So if I do not see Virtus Pro, IHC hot drop, then not only is it nail in the coffin, they've given up. They're laying down in the coffin, right? And as far as for the top three goes, I mean, FaZe needs to hot drop. I8, Tianba is done for, no chance. But yeah, even Falcons, ooh. Falcons with 13 points on I8, I would say so too. Yeah, if you're Falcons, hot drop, why not? Because I mean, you got no choice at this point. Last two matches of the day, you got to do it. What do you think?
A bit early. I would say for the top three teams, you might want to start hot dropping towards the last game. I think now you don't want to give your game plan away too soon because then teams are going to be wary and they'll be very cautious about you possibly hot dropping the next game.
Well, we can sit here and discuss hot drops all we want, but instead, we're just going to jump straight into our penultimate game of Group Red here. It's our first time on Miramar. We know all the teams are in the conversation of either it's top 3 or top 11. Let's see how things are going to wind down here as we drop on in.
The last two games are upon us, and we're going back to the desert, of course, to heat things up. 23 out of 24, almost that full one fraction as we head on in with a plane path from Partona up towards Ruins on the northwest side, cutting out areas like Torre Hamada and Tierra Bronca on the northeast.
Yeah, we're pushing far off towards the west here, which is always an interesting way to start off a Miramar. The first one of the day and the penultimate match of Group Red. We will be finishing on the next match there. And like the boys were saying on the desk, it is a tiebreaker right now due to those chicken dinners in the top side of the tables with IWNRX definitely catching up at ISIA with that valiant performance they made in that last game to put up 5 eliminations despite being harried by Na'Vi on that south side. Still in contest for that top 3.
IWNRX breaking out down to the southwest, probably going to head out towards Valle de Mar, play on that west side. I'm expecting to see Na'Vi up on the north coast as well, back up in La Cobreria. So potentially able to split apart there for two of our top teams. But Chumasera for TJB, that means that they are going to be close by around that IWNRX position. The teams at the top locked horns once again. Enigma Galaxy as well over towards El Pozzo, as everybody is going to have to make their way up towards the north side. Na'Vi happy with this circle. It keeps La Cobreria in.
You know what? Also, this I think is the first Na'Vi-orientated Miramar we've seen all Group Red. They've mentioned before how they really haven't had much luck on the circles at all in terms of Miramar so far. So again, this is now time to put your money where your mouth is. They get the circle. This should be a position where they can play from. So I'm excited to see what they can get done here in this match in particular. For Na'Vi currently in 5th place, but only 8 points behind right now. FaZe starting to lag behind a little bit. Again, I don't think anyone had many thoughts that FaZe would be challenging out for a top 3. The fact that I even have to say, oh, they're not quite there yet is funny to me, but they have certainly got themselves nice and safe now, which is good to see. On the bottom end of things though, John, Team Queso with that last match get themselves up to 109 and get so Roy 105 right on the bubble.
Yeah, IWNRX just on the cusp of getting on through into that top 3, losing out that tiebreaker. Can they find another chicken dinner? Well, we're going to find out a little bit from their coach. 7 caught up.
Interview with the 7WG. I'm actually joined by IWNRX coach Bluffs. You guys were finally able to get that win. I know in the past we were talking about how the win wasn't that important. Now with everything at stake, how important is that win for your team?
As I said, if we keep getting more points, high points, it's not necessary. The win is not necessary. We get the high points in the first 2 days, but last 2 days it was so bad. We couldn't get that high points and win was necessary for us. And finally we get the win. We are so happy because it was too nervous. We were too nervous. And finally we got that relief. So finally we get the win and finally we get close to top 3 again. I hope we can qualify.
I think so. With that performance, it's definitely going to push you guys a little bit higher. You're mentioning that you guys are happier. I saw the players. They're definitely a lot more confident. Thank you so much for your time. Back to you guys.
Excellent sentiment there, using that win as a bit of a mental reset as well for IWNRX and coming in on their strongest map. This map is where IWNRX beating out everybody on the numbers blank. This is a big opportunity.
And it's where they need to take that momentum and push it forward, right? And I think it's fair enough. It's been a long time coming now for the guys on IWNRX to pick themselves up a big win, and I'm happy to see it come through for them. I would just like to see IWNRX make their way back into a top 3 because they have such a pedigree behind them. And I think the fact that they've come into Group Red swinging like this is really, really good to see. So I'm very, very happy for them. Hopefully that can be change that they need. Also starting over in El Azahar, always a nice spot to be in for IWNRX so they can move forward over towards that northwest side of the map. And I think they've had a fair few times where they've had this worrying performance where do we crunch into the eastern side, and then they've allowed loads of teams around them, and it has been awkward. I think actually IWNRX is probably grateful for a little bit of freedom on rotate. 6 finding one of the players there coming through from Vengeance early on.
This is a long flex out from 6 from the rest of his roster as well. Currently the rest of them still up in La Cabrera, so does need to be careful, which is why he didn't fully step out, look for that commit. You saw him looking down to the south to that counterposing hillside. I think actually Enigma Galaxy have made their way up there, so he's very worried that if he goes down, he's basically done for. So nice and cautious for Na'Vi until they regroup and put 2 players up there. If that's what they decide to do, you do need to be making those cautious plays. Ralph, though, get a little bit bold with these peaks down towards Vengeance. He's a lot more happy to take that risk.
Yeah, they know they need these points to stay up on top right now. Still taking some shots over towards, I believe that is Na'Vi on the other side of things. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting one at the moment. I think when you look at this map in particular, what I'm looking towards is definitely those high grounds that currently you do have Na'Vi holding, as well as Enigma Galaxy down towards that southwest side. Can't really afford to move the buggy either. To get in it would be probably a knockout, and because there's no one else up there with you, you don't want to risk the knock.
Chamber on that east side. Moving over open ground. They may have done enough to seal themselves that chance at the survival stage. They're on 121 right now, bang in the middle of the tables, unlikely to slip down too far enough to fall out of it, and very unlikely that they can achieve the point score to get all the way towards the top. So very likely we'll see the team progress to those survival stages. Similar story was true for Getzo Roy, but they have had some really disastrous games today, just not finding that late game position that they have done previously. However, against FaZe, they may be able to not only allow themselves a little bit of safety, but also ruin FaZe's chances of getting back in that conversation again for our final map.
which you do not want to see. To be honest with you. I think on the final map, getting pipped to the post there always feels really rough. And I think this is the group where 100% anything can happen in that final match of the day coming through. If you're Pubgmobile, Enigma Galaxy, ASA8, or even IWNRX, at this point in time, you want a massive chicken dinner. You want to see yourself safe towards that top side where things don't change all that much into the future. Nice bumper tap there to stop both vehicles short, but opts to grab back into that one.
I mean, that's a really nice use of conservation momentum there. Two similarly massive objects crashing into each other, opposite directions. Just immediately cancels out all that momentum. Very good braking technique. Not so good for the whiplash, though. Difficult to get that one to work with the spine. Triple S, you can't park there, mate. You got to move that buggy.
Yeah, get out of the way. Get out of the way. No reason to keep that around because it needs to get maneuvered into a spot where it's not going to get taken out. And especially on a map like this, you need those vehicles. With all the high ground that's in play here, you need to be able to maneuver yourself into a better position inside the lobby.
Big north shift. Ooh.
Ow.
Pops all the way up to La Coqueria, gives Na'Vi a lot of that ground, but what we've seen from previous games where teams taking up that wide split on the north side is that they just get cut off. Teams move in between them, and slowly they get shredded away. So for Na'Vi, they need to make sure that that doesn't happen to them. The question is, how do they go for that? Do they move the players down towards the south, back up towards the north side? I feel like that high ground is going to get severely diminished in value fairly quickly, so I think that might be the play.
You know, for Na'Vi, it's a case of... It's a hard decision to make. It's like, where do you want to play around here? For them, they do have that central position on that high ground. I think they're going to try and regroup a little bit, allow teams to flow in around them. La Coqueria currently been picked up by Enigma Galaxy at the moment, but they are split off between one another, and it has to be an instantaneous rotate. Redox was the closest nearby, so he's going to hold down the fort for the time being, but it is IWNRX currently splitting the path between the two of them. And already finding that first elimination over towards Enigma Galaxy. And that breaks them into the top 3.
But just by that 1 point, it is so tight. The race just keeps getting more difficult for these teams. TJB, they've had a couple of false starts in the previous couple of games, and they're looking for a little bit bigger of a position to secure that top spot. And it's very unlikely that enough can happen where they do not make it through in those top 3, but it is still possible, right? With 2 big games from IWNRX and ASI8, Enigma Galaxy gathering a couple of points. If they go down early in both games, it's definitely possible. Would need a perfect storm to make it happen, but TJB can't rest easy just yet.
Yeah, again, 173 points, although it seems far ahead. When we looked at the jump up coming through from the phase, like, it's an insane grab in terms of points. And that happened in 1 game. Albeit being like a 17 eliminer, so it was a chunky match. Pubgmobile, certainly not safe by any stretch of the word for themselves. But Enigma Galaxy losing 1 player, that's the tough thing here for them. They need to play a safe game. They need to play a consistent game. The best way they can keep themselves up here, because, yep, you do have ASI8, Na'Vi, all banging on the doors right now. Enigma Galaxy currently cowering on the couch, closing all the blinds, turning off all the lights. I don't want anyone taking this position away from them. That's me, by the way, on November 5th.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just turn all the lights off, making sure.
Yeah, I should. No more fireworks, please.
I'm not home. Why are you setting fireworks off? What's going on? Very scary. That's for anyone who doesn't know. November 5th, the day that everyone in England sets off fireworks.
Yeah, my cats hate it.
Yeah, that's pretty awful. That's the worst part of fireworks night. The fireworks are pretty, but yeah.
Yeah. I just have. I am a big fan of fireworks, though, to be fair. I enjoy people enjoying themselves. But yeah, the cats don't like it, but that's on me. I have cats. I have little earbuds for them.
That is true. Oh yeah, you could get like little ear warmers that cover their. Oh, that would be so adorable. You could definitely sell those. Getso Roy gonna try and hold off a push from Furia, and if Furia need to make that bid for freedom, up towards the survival stages. You're still hung up on cat earmuffs, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a plan.
Maybe going to need Furia. Maybe need a couple of earmuffs because they don't want to hear what's just happened. They've just lost one of their players, and that's a big cat to go down.
Yeah, for Furia, I genuinely think they had a chance, and I think they came in today with some good plays and the right kind of rotates that they were trying to replicate from their day 3. They just haven't quite found that success yet, and the fact they didn't find it in match 2 or 3 means their life just becomes hellish now towards the end game. They know that time is slipping away. With Na'Vi finding the first limb over towards them, likely going to find another here if they can get the shots off.
Not quite able to fully connect there. Maybe a res is possible, but it's only one player now left standing for Furia across the way. Silence trying to get Arthurzen back into the mix here, but the bullets just keep on raining down. Na'Vi did manage to successfully regroup here, and if Furia fall, it's all on what the teams around that bubble can do this game as well. If they also go down, it will be a battle in the last game for those 11th, 10th, maybe, well, probably not 9th place spot, but still, 2 of those placements definitely going to be up for grabs. The question is who's going to be able to reach out for them.
Yeah, because we are limiting it now, and you're right, because before it was sort of like 4 positions were available to be jumped over the top of. Now we have cut that down to just the 2 in Team Queso as well as Getso Roy. I'm not sure. Not sure who I want to go through. I want to see Alter Ego pull up those points scoring. I want to see Rosemary head over towards the PMGC. I think Jason completely is on that same train as well. But right now, they haven't played to a survival stage standard, honestly. There has been a lot of games where it's 4 to 5 eliminations. They haven't really fielded one of those games where you're wowed by it yet. I think that's the worrying thing for me about Alter Ego. And I think you do need a wow factor game to get you into a position where you're safe. And that is displayed perfectly by FaZe just today.
Yeah, they had that massive breakout game to put them safe, at least to the survival stage, if not going a little bit further than that. They've lost a player. The circle shifts up north. This gives Tianba a very central compound here, Blank. You've also got Enigma Galaxy. I think that is very, very central, looking to defend their 2nd place spot. And it's a great time for them. However, they have already lost a player, and getting across this road may be a little bit too tall an order should it come down to it.
Yeah, for Enigma Galaxy, it didn't start off well. I mean, they made the right choice, which is to send Redox forward as an anchor, but they were so disparate in terms of their positioning that by the time they made that rotate in, they were getting caught off from a lot of sides. So Enigma Galaxy, again, they are just keeping it held down. They're not in a horrible spot for themselves, central. Down towards that southeast side, though, Falcons and Tong Jiabao. Now, how is this going to work out? Because they do have ASIA in the wings too. And this could be a dreadful fight for our 4th and 1st place team.
Mela looks to hold the cross, doesn't quite get the full knock, but a little bit of damage tickles through. Unfortunately, there's that opener that Alter Ego were looking for, and Mela has to retreat up the stairs. Venturas as well, holding that stairwell. Alter Ego not going to fully blast straight on through this engagement, but Mormon getting rezzed means that FaZe can stay up as 4. Falcons are starting to move up from the south side as well onto this engagement, and Alter Ego with 3 on the outside here may be in trouble for it. It's going to linearize their approach and make it all the tougher to move through those breach points with Falcons on the oversight.
Falcons be able to look over towards this one could give them a lot of points. Icy's already on the way up. You can see them off in the distance there. Action making his way through. Alter Ego, they need this fight, but with Hanzu already down, Tanch needs to find something big, but they are falling like flies as the shots nail them from the side coming through from the Falcons.
Tanch looking for the res now,
Onzen?
but down go FaZe. Onzen, maybe. No, he's getting picked up there on the off angle. Onzen cannot quite get to Mela just yet, making sure that that smoke cover is there, and maybe Alter Ego can get back into this one now. They are in their own little room here, and the reses can come through. Boysil back to his feet, and Alter Ego could stabilize. Falcons waging on into this fight as well, maybe, on that western edge.
We praised Onzen earlier, but did he have to really nade Mela to make sure he gets the most eliminations in this game? That might have just killed their chances here because they had the upper hand, but it allowed them time to get back into this fight. And now Alter Ego making this real difficult, and Falcons likely going to be cutting FaZe out later on. They do finally clear things up, but with Onzens as well as Mormon down, and it's impossible to get them back up into this fight at stage 4. These two players just have to send out. Dude, what a throw. What a throw there from Onzens, honestly.
Quite literally. The nade. Just
Yeah.
a really poor throw for them. TJB, they've lost 2 of their players. They're trying to move past Na'Vi again. They're trying to make their break towards the top. Falcons as well behind Na'Vi. This is a big test for them. All of these teams chasing for top spots. TJB looking to defend their first place. Going down here for TJB would give them a little shiver down the spine. It might not be enough to fully ice bath them into the survival stage, but for now, it's got to feel a little bit cold. Longs and 676 trying to move over the ridgeline. Find Falcons rotating, but they hop out. They're ready for the hold and ready for the fight. TJB having to drop Longs back into the blue zone, but they push forwards. 2 players on into the 1v2, but there's the crash in with the buggy to save the day against TJB, trying to take down the top team, and it will be successful. Falcons go in for the fight and take the victory, but Na'Vi sweep out. FaZe are behind them as well, and Lemon looks to find the final shutdown action, the last to go for the Falcons.
I mean, I respect this from Na'Vi massively. I mean, they've made a big breakout inside the lobby. This is all the way from that central side, and they hear the fighting. But I think this is a team that knows, understands better than anyone else that they need eliminations. They cannot have these 2 games be quiet here. They were desperate for the circles earlier on in the tournament. Now it's been given to them, and they're going to extract as much value as they can off the back of it. Ventores almost finds the shot over towards Na'Vi. Luckily, they back it off and should be able to get the reset here, especially with the circle starting to push on in. They cannot afford to take a knock now.
Action in the meantime did manage to mount up and skedaddle on into the middle of the circle, but he's under a lot of pressure, just hiding behind these ridgelines, and Team Koso know that he's there. Team Koso with 3 players, Vengeance down to the southwest with 4 of their players up as well. Everybody's going to be aware of this. Nick McGalaxy, 3 players on the roadside. The shift back down south gives them a little bit of breathing room here, blank, but it is not so easy on the southeast.
Nade over the top. Team Queso still rocking with 3 of their players. Look over towards action. He's the final player now from Falcons, able to put up 4 eliminations. You can see all of our teams, 5th, 6th, 7th, they understand they're not safe yet. They're still putting up those numbers, which is great to see. FaZe still with Ventores left remaining. Great shot from Na'Vi, though. Should take down Colgo. But I think he just about gets him to cover there. Happy Potro might be able to pick him up. If I was Na'Vi, I'd be looking to crash this bad boy soon.
It is potentially an opening, but the question is, do they know that there's only 3 players in there? You're really worried about that open range in front of you, and you don't need to go for it right now. Maybe try and work it a little bit more. They haven't pulled the trigger, and they can't go for it now. The res is very likely to have come through, and they'll be back up in an action to hold off that approach very quickly. And remember that Getzo Roy are on that north side as well, who could get that side swipe. Na'Vi, a dangerous roll-up in their future. I mean, sure, you've got that knock, but you don't need to go for it just yet, and maybe a better opportunity will present itself, but you can't wait too long.
So Roy, underneath and on the bubble, 11th place, 1 elimination found for them so far in this game, but playing really quite safe now. Not wanting to make any mistakes into the end of group red. Tiamba on that north side, they know that they're slipping down the tables a little bit. They're still fairly safe, and I think that even if they just get a few points here on this game from that central position on the northern edge, they could see themselves happily into that survival stage. But 42 players and 14 teams at stage 6 is somewhat surprising. I think that that is a symptom of the circle being cut off in the middle by this mound, essentially, this big hilltop, which is allowing a lot of teams to stay outside of each other's sight lines for quite a while, and we do send a backup over towards it. Action has found that approach in towards the middle, so could survive for a little while longer here for the Falcons.
This circle is big for both IWNRX and for Na'Vi, not in terms of the ease of approach, but in terms of what they need to achieve in it. IWNRX need to push in from the western side, defend their 3rd place spot. Na'Vi from the southeast and try and push up towards that 3rd place spot. Both of them with a chance to prove themselves here. But unfortunately for IWNRX, they've already had a knock over to Frozen, the forward position on their approach towards IHC, who are holding out with 4. Vengeance are up top as well, which does slow everything down. I mean, for IWNRX, this is really rough to move on into, and I don't expect them to be able to get too much further, to be honest, Blank.
I think for IWNRX, they're getting cut out big time. It's like you say, it's a rough push for them over towards IHC. It would require an opening knock to allow them to find a bit of an avenue inwards, but without high ground up top, like without vehicles
Zedwolf?
to make that push, might be difficult. But Zedwolf, he's potentially taking fate of IWNRX into his own hands. This is a crazy push out from him.
He's just scouted all the way up towards Vengeance, underneath IHC. That may give them time to get the res, but he's into the fight. He's just 1v4ing. He has the backup coming in, though, fairly soon. The nades don't quite find their way in through the window. He's not down just yet. IHC playing up on the top floor, and the nades still bouncing off. IWNRX need to be landing these. That's 2 now wasted nades that could have found an opener, but Zjol is into the fight as well, on the ground floor, looking for Zedwolf. But it's just him and him alone that they're dealing with, and seemingly they don't know how to do it. IWNRX now finally getting all 4 of their players in. 1 is cut out on the back as Furia go down across the way, but Swain is in the building. They could look for these reses. IHC just not stopping them.
Just hilarious, really, that Zedwolf was able to get over towards this building, and it has caused so much pandemonium for IHG that IWNRX basically were able to just walk up. Crazy Molotovs coming through from Zol, though. Only Swain left remaining here, can heal back up, but I think that will confirm onto at least 1. There is another nade sent back down the stairs, and though IHC was struggling from the get-go, considering Zedwolf just said, "What's up? Hey, hello, I'm in the building now," and he still is. Yeah, that really confused him in that moment, but he is waiting, biding his time. They should have seen him now right up onto the counter, but has to go for this 1v4. It's not possible. It's a shooting gallery over towards him, but yeah, I mean, still trying to make something happen. They are technically ahead of ASI8, but depends when ASI8 are going to go down, because I think that at the moment their position sat over towards that northern side, it looks fairly safe for now.
And in the meantime, Na'Vi have passed their test. They're into this circle. They're up to 6 elims. They're 2 points behind ASI8, 3 points behind IWNRX. If they can push ASI8 out of their location by the roadside, that would be huge. You've also got Tianba, who are going to be looking towards ASI8. So a difficult hold for ASI8 to come on through. And the circle will choose its location soon as well. Action has survived through it all for the Falcons. Nigma Galaxy, dead central. Keeps the north side of the road in. ASI8, Na'Vi, Nigma Galaxy, all in there too.
Yeah, not a bad position to be in. But again, 11 teams at stage 6. This is... You can tell just how much all of these squads wanted to stay here and remain within PMGC. IHC still trying to get it done from that western side after they cleaned up that fight between them and IWNRX. It's Team Queso right on the money right now. Ghetto Roy as well. Vengeance moved their way in. Team Queso versus Vengeance. Right now it's going very well for them with only Yamak left remaining. Extremely low, but Na'Vi moves up.
Okay, they still want more out of this lobby, trying to keep cutting away at it. 7 eliminations found. They're up to the ridgeline and controlling from the east side. A nice stretch out for them. They're not getting over aggressive, but maybe if they spot a weakness in Team Queso, they could try and close it down. However, they know that this is a team that's just going to have to leave these buildings. Leave 6 there. He can cut them out on that approach to the wall as they try and make their way further north. They are aware of 6's position, however, and that might make it tough. Na'Vi split 2 and 2.
And they have to go for something bold here if they want to try and control on towards this fight. You see IHC making a move for themselves.
The Galaxy on towards as well. On that western edge, and they've lost 1, but still trying to hold on against Incilio, against IHC. Tianba, in the meantime, Virtus Pro, they've been on the northern side of this road for a long, long time together, and now finally they will bring their feud to a conclusion. The question is, which way is it going to go? Nades in from all 3 of Virtus Pro. through the door frame. A nice bouncer, and Shan is found. One in the back door as well as Icy steps in with the spray down. They're hopping on through. A step out and a break wide comes through from Tiamba to get a little bit of an answer back, and it's 2v2. Healing not coming through for either team just yet, but Bond wants to make sure he's healthy for this fight. Across the road, you've got ASI8 and Getso Roy both looking out this way, which makes it so hard for Virtus Pro to find an opening. The healing wasn't there, and Malloy nails the nade. Just one player left standing, and another cook is on towards the back, looks for the flush onto Shan, will find it nearly. The full wipe on towards Tiamba as well, as Malloy and Icy up into the fight. The Molotov to slow them down on the corner, gets the flush, steps up onto the bed, and will not get burnt away just yet. Malloy with the cook, they know he's close, but the blue zone's closer. A bouncer on the nade, and Q's just away from that angle. Pushed back off there. And will play behind the furniture now. Needs to get some healing, but so do Virtus Pro. They want to find it because the road crossing is next.
Drops the smoke, thin cover in this situation, but the QZ, he needs to have an unbelievable pop-off scenario here versus Virtus Pro, and Virtus Pro desperate for more points on this game. Potentially opening up a last final chance here moment for them, but QZ is wrecking them right now. Moves forward, knows Icy's low. It's just one bit of damage required.
Icy steps out for the challenge, and they're down. Virtus Pro are out. Tiamba looking to try and cross the road with one. I don't think they're going to be able to get too much further, but in the meantime, Blank look in third place. Na'Vi, 11 eliminations. All 4 of their players alive, and they are looking to make a bid, not just for third place, but for the top spots themselves.
This is what we're talking about. They've not had the circles just yet, but this one was certainly one they could play off the back of. Incredible 2-2 split that they played. Single-handedly between 6 and Lemon, they've taken out the entirety of Team Queso on that south side, whilst handling Getso Roy at the same time. ASI8, their competitors still inside this lobby on that north side with 2. Na'Vi wants to shut them down in 4th place, giving them the least amount of placement points coming into this one, but Flip is wary.
SA8 may be able to jump up as well, but only time will tell. Falcons there as well in the middle. Action's been surviving for such a long time. Remember the engagement with Na'Vi, and ASA8 spotted. 1-for-1 trade though as IQ out towards the blue zone. Leaves Na'Vi now on 3 active. Reduce 1 sightline for the res, and that might give IHC an opening. IQ though low, and ASA8 are out. Their main competitors on the tables, and Na'Vi look to push even further. 12 elims found, as I think one of those got pinched away by IHC. And can IHC take the time to navigate this ridge side now? But the spray downs there. Yol for 6 give them exactly what they're looking for.
It's too aggressive coming through from Zyol. I mean, you have to be certain that that fight went terribly for Na'Vi. But you know they have the high ground. You know they were taking shots downwards. You just took shots and saw elimination away. The fact that he goes for an aggressive push like that, you gotta be expecting that Na'Vi's already posted up and ready to go. Action is going to go for a little bit more healing, but that nade will do the job. And IHC, again, with another high placing for them, though, which is important for their chance in this tournament of Group Green. But unreal shots coming through from 6.
And Na'Vi make their bid in towards the top 3. TJB sweating right now, as it's only Godless to stand between Na'Vi and a big chicken dinner. May be able to get all the points they need. 2 more yet to be racked up here as Godless moves on into the smoke. 15 eliminations, let's put a 16th up there. And EMEA looks to make their statement here in Group Red. What a close down. Elation for Na'Vi. They've just been able to breathe a sigh of relief for the first time in a while.
Massive game, 26 pointer, I believe, on that one with the chicken dinner on side. And again, I'm so happy to see it because they really did put their money where their mouth was in terms of we get a nice circle over towards that northwest side, we're getting a chicken dinner, and that sits them comfortably towards the top side of the lobby.
Oh man, Na'Vi. We keep thinking no one's gonna be able to put up big numbers the rest of the day, like we saw IWNRX do it. Now Na'Vi are able to chime in, showing we can do it too. That should, I mean, I don't want to call it, gentlemen, but that should almost be solidifying them a top 3, right? That should almost be guaranteed a PMGC grand final slot.
That's not almost. It's done.
It's done.
Like literally, it's done. So I mean, a game like that. I mean, oh my goodness, these guys got to be so excited. You saw it, the slam on the desk, because they were just like, that's it, we did it right here, right now. going from 5th place all the way to the top 3. Let's go, Navi.
That was a big slam too. I'm telling you, whichever team gets it for Group Green is like, wait, why's my desk broken? What happened? Slammed it too hard after that win. What a game. But realistically, Navi, I mean, Jason, you called me out saying, oh, Max, you said earlier they were in trouble. They were somewhat in trouble because they had 4 teams Southeast. You had Falcons, you had Navi, of course, you had TJB, you had FaZe. They're able to weather the storm over there, get a bunch of eliminations and loot, which is very important in this late game. They had a bunch of utility, grenades, molotovs, smokes, and then make the cross over to Team Kesso as they are fighting Vengeance and then start just obliterating teams from that high ground spot in the dips. And look at the player stats: 989 damage, 829, 709, 654 from every single player. That is a great ratio for every player on Na'Vi. That's mental.
I'm sorry, Axer. I don't think you're getting a spot back on the starting lineup here for Na'Vi. Man, you gotta let them be the way they are. And what a pickup Lemon has been for Na'Vi as well, Max. We got to see them back in CSA, or him back in CSA, and yeah, when you called it right then, we're gonna see him picked up by a better team, and the success he's had here, Hot Jukes, has been ridiculous.
I mean, clutch time, baby. Clutch time. Lemon shows up with 6 eliminations, second to last game here. I mean, they were down and out. I mean, you couldn't write a better story for these guys. So they've got to be so pumped. 1 game left. At this point, it's just about holding on, right? Yeah. It's just about holding on and defending yourself from other players. You're going to be watching those elimination counters. You're going to see which teams are going out. And if you possibly can engage or if you get into engagement with one of the teams that could take you out, you just got to take them out. And if you do that, that's it. You're in the grand finals. So, man, I mean, for the teams that are going to have to catch up, they have to pull off a miracle here in the last round.
Yeah, I think, Jason, going back to Lemon real quick, they were looking at CSA in spring and they saw him in the hot drop fight like, that guy's pretty good. And just slamming their credit card on the table like, oh, we want him. How much do we have to pay? We want Lemon on the squad. And to be honest, this is one of the most successful pickups we have seen in a long, long time when it comes to EMEA, right? Like, you have other pickups like Novalo and Snowix for the side of Nigma Galaxy that they are playing especially well for this group. But yeah, Na'Vi putting on an absolute clinic in this match here, sweeping so many teams on the eastern edge of the circle. And you can even see the dips they were playing, Jukes, were so strong because it kept them safe from other teams taking shots, but they were just taking shots pretty much the entire game. And the only reason why they could shoot as long as they did is because they were looting the crates of everyone they obliterated on the pathway to that chicken dinner. So the amount of bullet shots by that team must be an insane number. What the hell?
Oh man, Virtus Pro up against Tianba.
Oh no.
It hurts to see. We don't need to talk too much about it, but obviously that was a fight that probably Virtus Pro should have won, and should have won earlier, as you were saying, Max. They need to push it quickly or else they're going to get third-partied. But one thing I do want to mention about holding on, Hot Jukes, IHC, they're kind of holding on here.
I don't know if you heard me earlier, right? I said knock, knock, right? I said that the nail was already in the coffin, and now IHC decides to do something in the final hour. This is gonna be tough. I mean, yeah, 18 points. That is solid. They gotta be stoked. It's gonna go into the last match. It really, really is. I can't wait to see the overalls because I want to see just how far they jump. They were in obviously last place. Geto Roy was at that cutoff with in 11th with 105 points. This will definitely put them in that. The reason why I counted them out is because you hear about everybody's mental game at the bottom. Just seeing their play every single game before this, just so safe, right? Playing it like that, I was like, there's no way they're gonna get enough points to do it. Then all of a sudden, they take out IWNRX, who just won the game. That's crazy.
You look at it right now, IA's got himself 5 eliminations. IWNRX not even on the first half of this page. So top 3, guess what? Once again, it's gonna be all over the place, except for TJB because they're just always in first place, it seems. But really, it's going to be changed. I think we're going to have Na'Vi pushing up there. Falcons were able to survive into the top 3 thanks to action, which I think they could have gone further, but losing players early is kind of been a recurring issue for Falcons this tournament, it seems like, in the league stage, so kind of a troublesome. But one thing I'm a little bit sad about, Furia have not been able to maintain that momentum, man, and here this 0-pointer, that is really hurting them and maybe putting an end to their hopes of making it to survival stage.
Yeah, I think we're almost have to call it as over for them, unfortunately. And Max, are you sure TJB are still going to be holding on to number 1?
I mean, they should be. I was just said that because they had such a big gap, but maybe.
Well, I can kind of tell you from my quick maths, looking at our overall rankings from last time, that we might have a new number 1 team. But we'll see when we get there. You see Lemon going to be the MVP, and our overalls and Na'Vi. will
no
surpass
way!
TJP by 2 points because they got 26 and TJP got 1 in that last game.
Well, that's a first, Jason. I cursed the team before going to the leaderboards graphic. That's my power was undefined. But okay, so Na'Vi, I mean, a game like that is definitely gonna jump you up the leaderboards quite significantly, going up to first place, overtaking TJB after an insane day they had yesterday, getting 2 chicken dinners and a podium finish. Absolute madness here, and going into this game, this point sponge is going to be a real issue for the bottom squads. Like, all the points are going towards your top team, Na'Vi in particular. I don't know, man. This is great. It is very competitive, this group, and IHC on 12. There's no way they qualify in the last 2 games. No way.
I hope Hot Jukes does not work at a funeral home because he won't know if those bodies are dead or alive. Counting out IHC before, man. 3 points away, bro. Hot Jukes. It is very possible for IHC to come off the bottom of the leaderboard and make it through the survival stage. I don't even know what to say if this happens, honestly.
They're doing the PMWC,
You know what?
Jason. They're doing it.
I'm gonna ask you, Jason, what did you say earlier at the top of the show? 5 points a game, right? Let me ask you this: if IHC gets 5 points this next game, do you think they make it?
It depends if Getzeroy goes out early.
I mean, obviously, right? But just saying, like, but if you really think so, do you think 5's gonna cut it?
I mean, I think it can for sure. It just depends
20
on how
would cut
Getzeroy
it.
plays.
I think they could. Dinner will cut it for sure.
Getzeroy have been. I mean, like Max said before, right? They've slipped from like 5th or 8th place down to potentially not even qualifying. Like Getzeroy has had absolutely no results these last 2 days.
They've done absolutely nothing today, to be completely brutally honest about Getzeroy. They've had nothing go their way whatsoever. They've had circles go even somewhat close to their initial drop locations, and yet nothing's been happening. And you know, Jason, we've heard so many people say, oh, IHC, they play well in PMGC. They just don't care about the other tournaments. No, they forgot to say they play well in PMGC in match 23 of the league stage. Very specifically. But I'm telling you, how do you feel when you had such a big game that is literally keeping your dream alive to continue your PMGC adventure for 2024? Do you go for Hail Mary play we mentioned a few times, Hot Jukes? Do you play it passive to maybe get those 5-6 points you're mentioning? I don't know, but you have so many thoughts going through their minds right now. I'm telling you, they are lost right now as to what they're going to do, but they need to make a decision and fully commit to it.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're going to need minimum 5, period, right? So I think you have to play it safe if you are IHC, you know? But the sad part is, you know, playing it safe is what got them here all the way at the bottom, you know? So it's one of those 50-50s, and the crazy part was looking at the top of the leaderboards. I mean, just watching Na'Vi go, what was it, from 5th place all the way to 1st? That's going to make things so much more intense for that top 3 moving on. And I hate to say it, but IWNRX with only 1 point in that last game, man, dude, they got to do something special here if they want to go to the finals.
And you know what? The thing is, we talked about it already, but the fact they only got 1 chicken dinner, if it goes to a tiebreaker like it was before this game, they could lose a spot to grand finals because they only got 1 chicken dinner. Which is crazy thing to say, but that literally could be the case. But again, you got storylines. Who's going to qualify to top 11 for the survival stage? Who's going to make a final dash into the top 3? Literally, we could have 2 different teams in the top 3 after this game. That is how close it actually is right now, Jason. So to try to predict this, it's impossible. No clue who's going to make it, but it's going to be a close call.
Not only could we have new teams in the top 3, we could have like 3 new teams in the top 11 as well. It could be everything changing up here in the final match of Group Red. It has been a bloodbath the entire way through, and that bloodbath has to come to an end. It's going to be on Miramar, and it's going to be brought to you by John Allen and Blink.
One last trip, and what a way to go into this one, Blank. Miramar is going to be exciting. A true slobber knocker in the truest sense of the word. We are ready and raring to jump straight on into the melting pot. Let's get underway.
There are several teams vying for a top 3 here to make their way on through to the grand finals over in London in match 24 of final of Group Red. Na'Vi just picked themselves up a massive game that sits them in 1st place, but IHC pulling the old classic. Is it the last match that they're going to make their way into survival stage off the back of, or will this be the game where their dreams die?
They have got one more opportunity, and they're out of the plane already, kicking things off Let's see what they can do. On the south side, Alter Ego, Virtus Pro. TJB dropping over towards Chumacera. And that will be where they remain. Seeing where everybody else goes. Those teams in crucial positions. Na'Vi likely dropping out over towards the north side, heading up to La Coplaria again. It served them pretty well last time, of course, and throughout the course of this tournament. They've had their ups and downs, but they'll go for it yet again. Everybody around that top end making a tough approach to the tables. But the circle for our final time on Miramar here for Group Red. It's out to the west.
It's over towards that northwest side. It's not quite as hard up towards that side of the map than it was last time. So Na'Vi may be slightly worrying about this, but to be honest with you, in first place, I think they'll be okay. It should be a confirmation over towards the grand finals, though I'm scared to say anything quite like that at this point in time with the way things have been shaken up the top side of the lobby at the moment, John. Now see 12th place, 104 points, chasing Getso Roy. As Maxman has said, this team, it's sad to say, but they really have not done all that much today. It has been very lackluster, and that is exactly what you don't want coming into your final day. This is where you want to save your strats for. This is when you save all of that final bit of energy to make that last sprint to go through.
Teams will start to fall by the wayside as we unfold the goings-on of this game. It is all to play for. Team Queso looking to defend a survival stage spot. And Encilio not out of the woods just yet. I mean, it would be pretty dramatic for them or Tianba to drop out of this one, but still possible. However, unlikely it is. Of course, this group has been so hotly contested across all of it. Group Red has definitely been one for the history books. Breaking records with the most chicken dinners found in a group stage for TJB. But they're still not in that top spot because Na'Vi took it back from them in the final moments.
On back of a fantastic game as well. They start in La Cobraria up towards that northern side, see if they get any more points done and try and beat out the scoreline coming through from Team Spirit in Group Yellow. But honestly, I'd just be happy to see two PMSL EMEA teams taking first place over in Group Yellow and Group Red. But we know Tongjibao is a fearsome team. They can strike anytime, anywhere. So if you're Na'Vi, you're certainly wanting to keep yourself in. And I think we haven't really talked too much about third place, though, because Enigma Galaxy 166, ASI8 163, and IWRX just slightly lower down with 159. Right now, Enigma Galaxy, this is their last chance to make a decent run for this one, as they have been just scraping by, I would say. And for a team that was so dominant over towards the first couple of days, it would be a shame to see them knocked out here in the final match.
I would say, though, I feel like Na'Vi's momentum is strong here. TJB's absolutely not. They've had some real shaky games over the last few showings. They had their massive chicken dinner where they got shift after shift after shift today. But after that, it just kind of has been a little bit disappearing from them. And because of that, I'm not taking it for granted that they're in at this stage. Enigma Galaxy, ASA8, IWNRX, all of these teams could surpass their scoreline here. And if two of them do so, they're out of the top three. This is a pretty crazy dynamic to happen in the lobby. I'm a little bit more confident in Na'Vi's ability to stay towards the top, given that they're coming off a strong chicken dinner, a massive adrenaline high, but they need to keep that under control because it can go both ways, right? You can get that performance boost from that elated feeling that you have for finding a massive 26-pointer, but then you need to make sure that you keep that under control. You don't get jittery. You need to stay cool whilst channeling that energy forwards. Making the most of their opportunity when it comes to them. FaZe, they've fallen a little bit by the wayside. They have had that wow factor game that you talked about previously, Blank, but they haven't really been able to make convincing arguments as to why that is a consistent feeling. It is just these one-offs, it seems, from FaZe, but they should be able to see themselves safe into the survival stage. Furia In the meantime, on the northeast side, they again, same story for them. It has not been convincing from them this tournament. They had a little bit of a glow up, but it has been pushed aside by the teams beneath them. IHC most notably up into that 12th place now.
Vengeance losing their first player on Yamak, player that has put up quite a performance for Vengeance as well, maintaining their presence inside the lobby. So losing Yamak early for Vengeance in 13th place. It's not quite a death sentence just yet, but it does not feel good.
It's a real rough time for them. I mean, everybody has got to be so nervous. I think probably the team that is the calmest right now is potentially FaZe in their scenario, right? It's very unlikely that they can jump too much further up. Similar story for Tianba. So I'm interested to see what they do with this match, because everybody else needs to defend or attack on these tables. And with Vengeance losing that player early, the 101 starting to look terminal at their scoreline.
Virtus Pro, for them, it just feels sluggish. The performance feels sluggish. They feel out of sorts right now in 16th place. But even so, 16th place has a chance.
It's so close.
To ladder up. Even 16th place has a chance to get into survival stage, but I just don't think the energy's there for Virtus Pro right now. I think that's the difficulty. Everything they've tried to do has gone wrong over the last 5 matches. They've been able to put up points here and there, but again, when it comes down to those final moments where it really is a do or die situation, they've died.
No doing.
No doing.
And it has been their undoing so far. So hopefully they can tie up this tournament with a little bit of a stronger performance, even if it's not enough to get towards those top 11, right? You have to feel like it's maybe, if nothing else, a good morale booster to be moving forwards into the next season as players, as a team, to be able to show that you can. No, you do have talent. It's just that this lobby was really bloody hard, and it absolutely has been, and that is indicated by the fact that literally any of those bottom 8 teams could be changed around, and it would be a reasonable result to see at the end of this match. Ooh. The circle shifts down to Picardo Blank.
Southeast shift on this one as well is really uncomfortable for a lot of our teams. As you can see here, so many of them are on that northwest side right now. It's not an easy spot to be playing in. IHC on that western edge is a team that everyone is holding their breaths about. Can they make it through, as they've got Tongjiabao ahead of them? Further down towards that southeast side, there's Incilio. How do they progress through inside this lobby?
TJB have Godless on a lock-in. All 4 of their players surround with a DBS at his side. That's all he's got that stands between him and elimination here, and the first blow to be struck against IHC. But in comes the backup. A drop down, and Flower goes down first. That Triple S can't quite handle it. The rest of the team are coming on in as well, and quick succession, but Godless does go down to a spray from Longs. IHC committing to this, their last chance to make the tables, and against the table toppers themselves who got dethroned in the last match. Can they take them all the way down here? Going down early for TJB would be disaster, but another of IHC fall. A massive fight for the impact on the overall standings here. Blank and TJB need to hold on, but he goes down to Rogue. IHC extracting value, point after point from TJB's side, and it is disaster as they lose 1. As both teams going down to 3. Demo needs the res. He's across the road, and Rogue is in with the nade. Looks for the cook over towards 676, and he finds it. Big. TJB now again on the ropes as the crash comes back in from Ziol. Rogue and Ziol looking to take on the 2 from TJB themselves. It is so down to the wire, and in the first fight, everything could be decided.
IHC making their breakout versus the second place team.
Team Queso.
The team with the most chicken dinners. Team Queso on the side as well, taking shots. Oh my days, Rogue is down. 1 player left alive. It is IHC in a 1v1. Rogue gets flushed out, and IHC's dreams might just be shattered in these moments. They go for the res, but so does the enemy team. A long-range nade though, heads across, doesn't quite do the damage, and TJB is still alive here, but IHC right on the brink. Getso Roy down a player.
Every point matters though, Blank. Both teams come away losing 2, but gaining 2 points. That is huge. TJB are back in first for now, and Na'Vi need to make a bid back for it. If TJB fall here, if they get cut out now, it is a big opportunity for multiple teams to get past them here. And that could be a massive upset given the lead that they had coming into today, the strength that they showed at the start of the day as well. It would be a big change. But on that southwest side, they're going to be left alone for a moment longer.
Pubgmobile feeling like a king on an island towards the second half of this group. Now finally the boats are arriving. This island is now occupied and honestly looking to dethrone Pubgmobile and exile them from the top 3. They are not that far ahead, and it's likely that ISIA as well as IWNRX could ladder up over the top of them. But it will take some ginormous games, and it's down to ASIA and IWNRX to make that happen here. And Pubgmobile's just got to live. They're still on that southwest side, out of the way, out of the action. Team Queso has oversight. Enigma Galaxy's wrapping round on that western edge as well.
The power grid, the center of the universe for right now for these teams. It's all that matters. The high ground in the middle of the circle. FaZe and Getso Roy both trying to take control of it. As Furia looks to move up the mountain towards it. Virtus Pro try and stop them in their tracks. 2 teams towards the bottom of the tables. And both of them, as we said before, with a potential opportunity to move on in, but there are shots coming through. It's the Falcons to chime in. And the third party peek over towards Virtus Pro takes Tixi out of the mix.
This is Virtus Pro's last chance. Like I said, the energy wasn't quite there, and they have to lift themselves up somehow, some way. Someone's got to prop this team. And shots from the backside, it's East.
Oh,
finding
no.
the off angle. That's 2 down, and Virtus Pro might be our first team to be leaving a tournament here in Group Red.
But a Fury are going to beat them to the punch. Well, you're going down, we can go down faster. Let's see who can do it first. As the Falcons may be the main beneficiary of this strategy coming on through. Look at where they are on the tables, Blank. Falcons on 154. They are 12 points behind the bubble. Picking up 4, 5, 6 points off this engagement would be huge for the Falcons and their chances into this one.
A spot onto Icy. Both knocks not quite gone through yet. There has been a regroup and a reassess on the res attempt. Smokes go down to try and allow this one to get up. They get all 4 players back up on their feet, so a good recovery from Virtus Pro. They know how much it means to them. Furia in a difficult position, careening on the outside edge. Shots go through some more, and Top is just lighting up these vehicles, both down to around about half health.
Furia slip away, slinking off into the distance. Top sending them off with a parting gift of a spray down from an M4, but doesn't quite connect enough to get a point here. TJB, they're making their move. Blank, that's to IHC. They're losing another player potentially. If the bleed out comes in, the blue zone is here. It's not going to be looking super resable. And IHC maybe not confirming now, but the blue zone should just crash in and make it unresable. I think that might be it. TJB are in stage 4. I don't think you can get this one back up. Flower should just be a goner here, and Longs is committing. In the meantime, Na'Vi are in a fight with Furia. Lemon, he's on his own. He's taken 2 down, but that might be a little bit too much for him to chew, even if he is Lemon himself. Na'Vi towards the top of the tables. DJB losing players to Renox coming on in. You deny the point to IHC if you get the revive, I imagine. But in comes the crash. The rest of Na'Vi are here to play. 2 pivotal fights on this fight will unfold now. A Furia from the bottom of the tables could have a massive impact, but there's only 1 player left standing against Na'Vi. Six and Puncher trying to break out wide. They've already lost Lemon, and they don't want to lose anymore.
Nade goes through, denies that res attempt. Another nade from Arthursin. Furia, 1 player left remaining. Na'Vi somewhat isolated on this engagement between the 2 of them, but they need to be quick as the res start to pile on in.
Oh no, IHC down. IHC are out, Blank. That's it, they haven't been able to make it. That denied point doesn't put them in the tiebreaker with Getso Roy, denies them any other opportunity, and TJB with the res deny the access for the reigning champions. It's anybody's game now, the throne is empty.
I see how it's such a big deal. A lot of re-aggresses here coming through from Na'Vi onto Furia. Furia currently in 15th place, had a chance. Nice nade, doesn't quite do the damage. Silence on that top side, desperately just about getting rezzed up. Another nade goes through, but not quite anything found. And so much smoke cover in play right now for Furia. And Na'Vi is struggling to find these knocks. This could be good from Flip.
Koyovsky trapped in a corner now, and the nade was there. The first nade on the stairs pushes him back off. He knows there's an aggression from the window. Pushes him back. The Molotov keeps him penned in, and it is perfect utility usage from Na'Vi to seal the deal without going for the peak. A nice assault onto the ground floor, though. There's still 3 players to go. They're letting this one drag on, and Furia still clinging to it. Na'Vi wanting to push TJB aside, who have managed to make their way on through for the time being, but still 3 up and 3 down on the southwest side of San Martin. It is still all to play for. 6 nade in, spray down through the window, but Silence stays alive.
Massive damage. This might be time to toss a quick nade up the stairs here. Great shot from the sidelines, though. There's the nade in towards the top. Still doesn't find too much of it, but it is now a 2v3. Flip is holding his own on the outside, but nice shots from the S12K will blast back Flip.
Pushes him back to that roadside now, but Arthur's goes down next, and it's still pair fires maneuver here for Na'Vi, making sure that they can pick up these points, chasing down TJB, and they get the wipe against Furia, the second team to be confirmed out of Group Red and out of PMGC. TJB now in second place once more.
Furia bites down the low in the start of that fight, but leaves a bitter taste in their mouth as they will exit from Group Red. Na'Vi just about holding onto their first place currently, like you say, with Tongjiabao down into second. Enigma Galaxy not out yet with 3 players, and it looks like Tongjiabao has been found on the outskirts.
Virtus Pro in a fight against Tianba. Tianba in the middle of the tables, looking safer than Virtus Pro are, but right now Virtus Pro seem to be a little bit in the lead on this fight. The backup from Tianba is slow. It's sluggish. Shan now finally in with those nades under the crag. It's so dangerous for Virtus Pro to leave. That next nade could seal the deal, but a big one up on high. Launched straight back into his face there. And Virtus Pro trying to stay on in with it. The nade dropped at his feet, and there's the light up from the off angle. 2 players down for Virtus Pro, and it's only Icy and Koa cowering under Pride Rock. The shelter from the top rope, and it's the Falcons above them, perched on high, who could change everything.
One Mongolian team goes down and another steps up here for Falcons. They start to cross open ground versus Tianba. 2 eliminations found, but a long journey ahead of them to try and get up into a top 3 scenario. The nades going long here, not quite finding Virtus Pro. In the meantime, it's Vengeance up against Enigma Galaxy. Doing damage going both ways at the moment on that northwest side.
Such an important time for Enigma Galaxy as well. Falcons are making their big strike towards the top, but Enigma Galaxy looking to try and hold on to those spots. They are in 3rd place right now, Blank. Going down here would be disastrous. IWNRX and ASIA are clashing on the south. There is so much popping off here that means so much to so many. And IQ, first blood drawn towards him in that engagement. Falcons finally take down Virtus Pro. A 4th team to go down. It's only Alter Ego who can change our survival stage now, but it's the top of the tables that draws the focus now.
IQ falling short, IWNRX. This is such an important fight for them to ladder up above ASIA into 4th place and challenge for a top 3. Second nade goes in, will take down Falak, and that is the drums of war in the ears of IWNRX. What a shot from Noki, threads the needle.
And nearly gets a second. Kane has to retreat here off the angle, and the wall is his to control, but Noki with a hop shot gets taken down. The off angle now as IWNRX making a bid for the top 3. It's traded off, but ASI8 falls short just at the final hurdle. They are scratched away time and time again, and the blood beneath their feet will be the lifeblood of IWNRX as they try and make their push towards it. But Enigma Galaxy are still holding on. TJB are in the distance.
As a cutout, unfortunately, will not make that top 3 of push for themselves. Alter Ego, 3 players alive. Last chance saloon for them. Getso Roy holding on weakly to that 11th place position. Down towards the south, they control a lot of the compound there, and that might just be the position that keeps them safe going forward. Insane shots coming through from IWNRX over towards Incilio. There is a little bit of a clap back, and it's over towards Swain there, but 6 eliminations found already. 165 points, lagging slightly behind from Nigma Galaxy.
Alter Ego versus Getso Roy on the south side, the only fight that can matter in terms of the survival stages. Alter Ego on the back foot with 3, Getso Roy with 4 in the buildings. They have the stronghold, they have the strength to hold out the south side, but Getso Roy have not been performing today. Now is when it matters most, though, against Alter Ego, the team that could push them out of the way. Will they be able to do it? Nigma Galaxy on the west, they've got Longs to deal with, and again, he is the team that's in their way. If they can get over TJB, they've basically sealed their ticket in the top 3 as well.
Longs somehow surviving into this match. Alter Ego takes themselves a knock on the south side. And Getso Roy lays down the riot shields at the rioters protesting at their position inside of this leaderboard in 14th place. Only 2 eliminations. They'd need 8 more points. Not to mention the placement points or any eliminations that Getso Roy might find in this game. And it's looking less likely by the minute. Nigma Galaxy out on this western edge. It's Tongji about in front of them. Just Longs remaining. If Nigma Galaxy can secure this one, it will be Na'Vi holding onto that first place position for now.
Nigma Galaxy could take it from them, so could IWNRX, so could the Falcons. It is still all to play for. 6th place to 1st is a strikeable distance to make. And that, in the final match of our 24-game set, is crazy. The scorelines here are so close. And Team Queso look to move in ahead of Getso Roy. Team Queso in 10th place. If Getso Roy and Alter Ego jump up ahead of them, they could fall down as well. But they got that Orm in the hands as well. A high nade goes on in towards Longs. I don't think they know where he is. Because that's definitely not where he's sat right now. Nigma Galaxy with their chance. Snowix on the outside. Could be caught on the broadside by Longs in the bush. There's a vehicle right next to him. That should give the game away.
Longs in the fight of a lifetime right now. Hidden inside the bushes. I'm having flashbacks to Luxie.
Oh, we've seen. He steps up, spray down, and it's going to be Nigma Galaxy taking down TJB. They draw their match to a close. Their tournament finishes here. They're in the top 3, but for how much longer? Alter Ego clashing with IWNRX, who are looking to sweep on through on the south side, and it's a good opener for IWNRX, but there is casualties both ways. Swain down by the vehicle. Boyce looks for the spray, as so does Alva on the off angle, but they're being handled time and time again. IWNRX looking to take Alter Ego out of the tournament here, as the reses need to come through. Swain and Zedwolf down on the outside, and Frozen's the next to fall. IWNRX still hold on, and Kane is the last to go. But can Getso Roy fall into line? Can East take IWNRX out of this one? 9 eliminations, and IWNRX are down to 2.
Last chance there for the survival stage with Alter Ego now out. Boysil had an unbelievable chance there to potentially push Alter Ego further into that match. A 1v1 it came down to. And luckily, IWNRX is able to win that one in the end. Team Queso, nothing really left to play for both them and Getso Roy. They'll be in their own fist fight here as Team Queso does fall, but will make their way into the survival stages. It took a while. They did not have the confidence today, but they limped in towards a position of survival stages, and that's really what it's all about. This point in time, just gritting your teeth and getting what needs to be done out of the way here. Now all eyes on Nigma Galaxy and IWNRX, potentially even Falcons, who hold a massive amount of space on this eastern edge.
This is all up for grabs here. Every single team with something to play for. Getso Roy, they've already done the job they need to. They're the only team right now that won't really be able to do too much with this game, but they definitely have a chance to take it home here. IWNRX with 9 eliminations blank. They only have 2 of their players alive, and with the Falcons putting the phalanx together on the south side, they need to break that shield wall.
Na'Vi claim a northern spot on this circle, but with the Falcons, honestly, they can just control the majority of the central of this circle here. Enigma Galaxy on the outside need to push on through versus FaZe, who have had themselves a nice day today, but with Mela going down first, a bit of a star player for the squad, and getting rid of him will definitely dim the prospects of FaZe going forward. Only 2 eliminations for them.
FaZe really crunched in on this one with Getzo Roy stopping their route out, but Mormon tags a nade onto Redox just before he repositions. That slows Enigma Galaxy down. That allows Getzo Roy to actually move on in, and FaZe want to use this as a go signal. Victorious goes down though to Stoics on a step up spray down. Redox, is he getting rest in the meantime? No, they have to just hold the ridge, and Enigma Galaxy could fall down here, give IWNRX the mark to shoot for, but with 6 teams remaining, the placements add up, and they're quite a way ahead already. The question is, what can Enigma Galaxy do to stop this one? Because FaZe will bear down upon them. Mormon, with the fury of the DBS and the backup from Onsen's, take Enigma Galaxy out, and IWNRX have the door flung open, and so do the Falcons.
I think with the top 5 as well, IWNRX might just be able to get in off the back of this one. For Tongjiabao, I think Falcons need roughly 17 more points. So a chicken dinner and 14 elims on the game. It's going to be rough for the Falcons here, but they can certainly excel over 3rd place quite easily. I'm so curious to see what happens going forward, but I think for the Falcons, they have a real good shot at that top 3 right in those final moments, John.
Oh, it's all down to the wire. The numbers gonna get crunched fairly soon, but right now we need to crunch these teams out of this lobby because there are only 5 remaining for our final match here in Group Red. The Falcons seem to be in the driving seat. What a way to take this one back. You said it earlier. 1 Mongolian teams, the defending champions go down, and back in. Another rises. Getzo Roy looking to make their way on out, but they have been curtailed, stopped on their route away. Icy on the back foot, but Na'Vi on the north side still out for blood.
East, 6 eliminations on this game, leading their team True North towards a strong victory here. They just back it off. They know all these squads towards that western side. They're in awkward terrain right now, and they have to come out. Na'Vi, though, Puncher, as well as Six, this dynamic duo. We talk a lot about Flip as well as Lemon, but Six and Puncher together in these final moments as clutch maestros on the team. They've certainly done a lot for them. Falcons want to extract more value. They don't want to leave this up to chance. They want to secure a big win here and be happy in their performance.
With IWNRX going down, I don't know if they've done enough to jump up over Enigma Galaxy with those placements, but we'll see if the Falcons can spread their wings and get towards the top, because top just goes down there to Porsche. Getzo Roy on their breakout from Power Grid, looking for more as well to move past the rest of the Falcons. Their backline now is the only thing stopping them, but FaZe look to chime into this fight. Look to try and seal themselves in the middle of the tables. They are in the survivals, but how high in that bracket can they go? Na'Vi looking their way, and now it's just Mormon remaining. They get a little bit too big for their boots, and they get humbled, Blank.
Yeah, FaZe has been a wild ride today in day 4, and it has taken them quite far, but finally, I think it will start to push them off. And maybe this is the end for FaZe, but a survival stage from the brink of losing, of going into that bottom 5 and dropping out of the lobby. I mean, FaZe has done a wonderful job to stay within the conversation. Mormon steps up once again, finds another off the back lines of Getzo Roy. Na'Vi, Falcons, as well as FaZe, 2v2v2. What a way to end this one out.
Will the Falcons be able to do enough to push their way back into the top 3? I think with this game, we may have a second EMEA top table, Blank. That first place for Team Spirit over in Group Yellow, and Na'Vi defending the title over here in Group Red. They will pass the torch to Group Green and see what they can do. But the Falcons still want to try and push them out of the way. I think it might just be too distant for them now with the top 3 confirmed for Na'Vi. And the duo have done enough. 2 players on either of these 3 squads.
Falcons, though, a lot rests on this game for them. They know they're close, but to really confirm it, to feel good in those final moments, they want that chicken dinner. East and Icy still up and alive. Six the first to fall in this 3-way engagement between Falcons and FaZe. Quick step up, but you can see the pressure is certainly mounting now for the Falcons. feeling constrained, constricted in this game.
Puncher so low and Navia out. FaZe 2v2 against the Falcons. Looking to move up from the low ground here. Ventores up on the knoll. Will take the shots down towards them, suppression, but Mormon breaks forwards first. If they can isolate this fight quickly, they can handle him and move on to the next, but the spray downs are difficult to make work. Mormon behind the tree, the roll, the wrap around with the buggy, and the jump out wide. It's FaZe to take the chicken dinner, but have the Falcons been able to find enough, beating the chest? But what will the final table say? The top three are in flux here as FaZe Clan take down the Falcons.
It is so down to the wire here for FaZe, though. Let's hope this isn't just a FaZe bomb, because 2 chicken dinners on the day to see themselves nice and healthy towards the top side of the lobby. But for the Falcons, that must be sweat beading on their forehead right now. You can see them. They're not sure whether they've made it or not.
Oh, it is
so close. That's right. That's right. It is.
It's just unbelievably down to the wire. Are we going to see the Falcons force Phoenixes rising up, or will they be left in ashes and forced to go to the survival stage? They don't think they've done it. Let's see over on the desk who's going through.
I wouldn't want to be Max Ben right now. I can hear the sweat beating to head as you're just wondering, did Falcons do enough to qualify? I mean, let's run this back though. IHC getting caught out almost for the roster, but I just couldn't hold on long enough and went out their hopes of making it through into the next stage. Even just survival go out the window.
So the rotation makes sense for IHG early on, right? It makes so much sense to go for it, but unfortunately the timing's a little bit off in the sense that they rotate at the exact same time as Tong Jabao, and that causes them to then have a crash. There's only one player there, and then the entirety of IHG just try to send it to get that play back up to win the fight versus TJV. But as we saw, Hodgix, they got almost over involved in that fight, lost 2 players, and after that tried to survive, but maybe just trying to leave that one player to go out and survive as 3 would have been the better option for IHC.
Oh man, dude, it's the worst case scenario for IHC. Not only was it that rotation, just their luck, right? Couldn't have been worse, right? If you're gonna go and play aggressive in the final game and just kind of try to take out a squad early, you gotta go against TJB, right? Out of all the teams, they didn't get one finish. They had no idea who they were going against, and I mean, brutal situation. I can't believe this team didn't make it, and I just think that they tried to turn that aggression switch on way too late. I said it. I said you don't want to wait until the last match, because we saw Circle 5, Circle 6, half the lobby was gone already, right? And you know, Falcons, they did an amazing game right here towards the end, but those eliminations were getting just taken away from them time after time again. I don't know what's going to happen on the leaderboards, but man, one thing we know for sure, IHC just couldn't do it.
Well, there's one thing you can say to just wrap up the conversation on IHC before like it's the end for them, but that means with IHC being officially out of the race for the grand finals for the trophy, that means that 100% we will be having a new champion here for PMGC 2024, which for me, that is also very exciting to see who's going to be lifting this trophy for this new edition of PMGC.
It could be one of the teams from this group, as we've seen every, well, I don't like to say every team, but majority of the teams really showing that they are definitely viable of being the ones to secure that trophy when we get to that stage. But honestly, looking towards the top again, like IWNRX, have they done enough to get into this one? I would imagine not, though, with a crazy back-to-back fight. They fought up against I8. They kept getting shut up against Falcons thereafter. They could just not get comfortable. I really don't know. I just want to get to leaderboards, honestly. Can we just skip past this stuff? Go straight to leaderboards? Can we just see it?
Skip the replay. We want to go.
I want to see it so bad. Hey, yo, shout out to FaZe, though, right? We got to give FaZe some flowers here to clutch up a nice chicken dinner towards the end. I mean, the flossing, I think it worked to some extent, right? But still, it wasn't close enough to get them into top 3. Not enough movement.
They definitely played better towards the end of this tournament. So, you know what? A possible potential for the survival stage. I'm saying FaZe have been playing way better towards the second half of this group red. So we'll have to see 22 points on the board. But yeah, 14 points, Falcons. They needed 12, I believe, before this game even started, Hot Jukes. They got 14, but as we know, Enigma Galaxy, they made it far into the game. They got a few eliminations here and there, which yeah, the 14 is just not going to cut it, I think.
Yep, I don't think so either. Yeah, and it's so unfortunate. You saw it on their faces, right? I mean, I think that said everything right there. You just see the hands, the palms deep into their cheeks. That's gotta hurt, dude. I really hope that they could bounce back in the survival stage. I mean, I'm gonna say it already, but we don't know, of course, until we see those leaderboards. But man, this is, if they don't do it, it's gonna be the second time we see them not make it automatically to the finals, and it's so unfortunate because I think all of us, right, we're predicting that we're going to see Falcons in the top 3 before this group even started, right, Max?
Well, it's not over. Okay, they can still make it through survival stage, but I think that this was one of the teams that we were all looking at to make it hopefully through the top 3. But here you go. Congratulations to Mormon for being the MVP. Again, no other standout. You had Onzen, you had Mormon, and we were talking about Mela a lot when looking at FaZe. Seems like the other squad members have been kind of performing better around him, around Mela a lot more. So really happy with their performance. But looking at the leaderboards before we moved away from that on the match rankings, even I8 went out pretty damn early this game. They were in contention for top 3, so it did not happen for them.
Let's see. Well, there it is. There's the overall rankings. IWNRX by 1 point. Well, actually 2 points, right?
Because tiebreaker.
Yeah. Oh, that is unreal. How many times have we said it, Max? Right? 1 point could be the difference between making it and not, and IWNRX just come up short.
But I gotta say it, really, congratulations already to Na'Vi, TJB, and England Galaxy. We will be seeing them over in London for the PMGC 2024 Grand Finals. I gotta say, with the way they've been playing Hot Troops, I hope they can maintain that for the Grand Finals, because these guys literally have a shot at the trophy this time around. But IWNRX, Falcons, IA, really good attempt this league stage in Group Red. And I gotta say that these guys, sure, they might not qualify directly through this group into the Grand Finals, but going into survival stage, they're gonna be a threat. They are gonna be a menace, and they're gonna give it their all to make sure they can go the entire way.
Yeah, Team KSO are going to make it all the way there as well to the survival stage. IHC just coming up too short right there. But you know what? I was looking at those leaderboards, Max. I think that if Fudia would have won that game, it would have been enough.
Yeah. They had a good start.
No, I'm sorry, not Fudia. I'm sorry, Falcons. What am I saying? Yeah, if Falcons would have won that game, it would have been enough.
Yeah, it would have been actually, but looking at Furia, they also got involved in that fight versus Na'Vi very early on. There was so much back and forth. You can feel the pressure on Na'Vi to make sure they secure this spot in top 3, and Furia to hopefully leave the bottom 5 ranking in this leaderboard. Unfortunately for Furia, that was not going to be enough. It was not going to cut it, and they did go out early versus Na'Vi. But man, Team Kesso, we said it, Jukes, that they had some potential, maybe some lesser results on the second half, but it was enough to make it to the survival stage. And I hope they can take some learnings from Group Red and just tackle the survival stage in the best way possible.
And look at the MVP, of course, it's got to be Z-Wolf, right, Jason?
I mean, the man in the tower, right? It completely carried his team in that final Erangel that we did see. I mean, he's been MVP when it's come to EMEA so many times, and very deserving when it comes to this group as well. Just crazy that he made the MVP and yet his team didn't make it in top 3. I think that's a real testament to how well he's played over the course of these 4 days.
For me, it's undeniable that you would say in the past the best players in Turkey, maybe you would say, would be the side of Hamsici, Kalsi, even Silas back in the day. It's undeniable now, Jason. The best player in Turkey is Z-Wolf. This guy is a menace locally, he's a menace globally, and he is the guy that literally could be taking home the MVP title for 2024 PMGC. That is how good of a performance this guy had.
Oh, not to mention, you can see our assist as well. Kane going to be his teammate, going to be the ultimate duo with the Z-Wolf here with the PUBGmobile X Venom. The Last Dance collaboration is available now. If you guys haven't noticed, if you haven't even picked up the game, well, now you know. You can experience unique gameplay adventure. You can discover the Black Symbiote clusters in Erangel, Sandhawk, Miramar, and Livik to obtain the Black Symbiote arm and encounter Black Symbiote warhorses. And you can equip the Black Symbiote arm to move rapidly by aiming at fixed targets. You can pull in mobile targets like players or even those airdrops and get yourself an imagery 3. And of course, launch yourself with slingshot-like moves. You should gear up and harness Venom's power in PUBG Mobile. You can bond with the symbiote and become the ultimate duo on PUBG Mobile now. You can play the game, watch the movie, and then aspire to be the ultimate duo like Kane and Z-Wolf.
Is Jason Statham in the movie? Oh, that seems even more interesting.
You know what else is
There's an
interesting,
MG3 in the
dude?
movie,
I'm going to
Max.
tell you.
Oh, okay, I'm going. Yeah, I've got my seat reserved already.
Oh boy.
And there you
I'll
go.
tell you one thing.
MVP
You know what?
of the week.
Z-Wolf MVP, but one thing's guaranteed. This survival stage is gonna suck for these teams, dude, because it's gonna be absolutely stacked to the T. So it's gonna suck for them, but boy, is it gonna be fun for us to watch.
Man, I mean, look at the survival stage. Look at the teams we had already from Group Yellow. You had Deek Xavier, Vampire, you had Bigatron Knight, you had Loops, you have Major Pride who just popped off, Mirror and Sejong with the insane center play. And now you got these teams. You got IW and RX, you got Falcons, you got FaZe, you got... I mean, bro.
Bro.
Who's making it? I don't know, but it's going to be tough. That's the real group of death, is the survival stage. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Well, not to mention you still have teams from Group Green to come in as well, which will be happening on Thursday, I was going to say, basically next week, with a plethora of insane teams as well to kind of match up to them. I mean, you have the likes of Stalwart, who have been a massive surprise this year. You've got 4MV there as well. You got, Team Liquid, Influence Rage, Thunder Talk, Kagasaka, D+, which we are very curious about, I would say, considering how strong South Korea has been so far in PMGC.
Yeah, especially excited to see Osal, Favian, especially playing those two guys that have been just top tier star players of the South Korean region. And I think they're going to take, a page out of the book of DRX, Amir and Sejong of how they played in their group. But yeah, South Korea's here to play. So many regions are here to play and to make it to the grand finals. Yeah, Group Green, I got to say, Group Red was not my group of death. It was the group of entertainment. And now I've had even higher expectations for Group Green to deliver in that aspect also.
Is there any upset, you'd say, in your eyes, Hot Jukes, of a team who didn't make it top 3 that you kind of feel like deserved it?
As far as top 3 goes, I mean, it's got to be IW and RX, without a doubt. I mean, these guys, Z-Wolf tried to put this team on his back. I mean, it was a clutch day for them too. They got that chicken dinner that they've been needing so desperately. They were playing so consistent, and I think it just came down to that. They weren't able to put another chicken dinner on the board, and I think that's what made them come up short. But man, like, this team is so impressive.